Hey guys, Nick here. Before we get started this week, I just wanted to remind everyone that not only did we launch our brand new website and community forum this week, but we also announced our Patreon campaign. For more details, please visit the Support Us page on 4playernetwork.com. As always, thank you so much for listening. Let's get started. Let's try this intro one more time.
Okay.
This is the podcast. This is episode 398.
Yep.
A 4-player podcast. My name's Nick Henderson. I'm joined by Brad Simons.
I'm Brad.
Nolan Hedstrom.
I'm Brett. I'm Nolan. Damn it.
Christopher Guthridge.
I'm Chris.
I'm sorry. If this intro seems a little rushed to you, it's because we've already done it once. My microphone failed the first time around.
It's still better than that one cocktail time.
Hey, Nick.
We recorded for like 40 minutes.
And we were drunk too.
Yeah. And so the second that we tried to have the same conversation, but we were already all pretty drunk by then, and we're just like, yeah, I think I said this.
Speaking of
awesome,
saying
actually.
things, I've been playing Darkest Dungeon. Will you hold? We gotta go.
I know we're gonna go in a second. I'll just briefly mention new website, new forums, new Patreon campaign. The deets are on the site of 4playernetwork.com.
The deets.
The deets.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that during the community segment. We are going to be answering questions submitted from our patrons during the community segment as well. So we'll talk all about that later. Go sign up for a forum account.
We've been playing a lot
I
of new
just pointed
games,
to you
Nick.
and said Nolan. I have no idea what I'm doing. Brad Simons,
Yes.
you've been playing Darkest Dungeon, which
I
a lot of
have.
people have been requesting all
Yeah,
week.
and I didn't want to kind of hop into it right away because it just launched in early access, and I kind of don't like playing early access games. But people really wanted to see this. Kenton gifted it to me, so I decided to play it. And the game's cool. It's really cool. It's really fucking cool.
All right, let's move on. I'm just kidding.
It is a very difficult dungeon crawler, kind of like a roguelike. Every time you go into a dungeon, it's different, but you're kind of building up your town with the money and resources you get from those dungeons.
Kind of like Rogue Legacy almost, kind of just as an
The-
example.
It has a very
has a cool style to it.
very cool art style.
It does look nice.
It's very Lovecraftian as well. You kind of have a narrator who has a very Lovecraftian voice, and
Is it Lovecraftian?
everything he says is all over the top and shit, like the darkest dungeon, the dark recesses of your mind. Like he's crazy and over the top. It's actually really funny. But I guess the twist with this game is, you kind of assemble your party, you go into dungeons, you explore. The twist is there's all kinds of crazy.
There's a lot of metagame.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of metagame,
lot.
but I'd say like the core twist on this game is it's all about not just pain of the physical, but pain of the mental. It's all about managing stress and all the stuff you encounter, the traps and the monsters and the horrible stuff you encounter in the dungeon wears on your psyche, and that can cause lots of horrible things to
Like
your
status
characters.
effects almost.
Status effects. Also like permanent status effects. Like my character can become easily stressed out in a certain type of dungeon or against a certain type of enemy, and it's managing that stress is the core difference in this game versus others. And because if your stress gets too high, they kind of they go crazy, and it.
Kind of like in XCOM when your troops freak out and they just start shooting
it's like that.
randomly, and
It's-
and they can cause other
it's just
troops
like
to freak out too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a little more dramatic in this game, and there's a very small chance that when your stress fills all the way up, you get like a positive effect. It's a small chance, but there are some people who like work well under pressure, and it could be like instead of a negative turning point, a very positive turning point for your expedition.
Is there a way you can affect that percentage chance?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Actually, possibly. But there's a lot of little things in this game. But it's really cool because one of your dudes freaks out in battle. Sometimes they'll take their turn on themselves. Sometimes they'll like shrug off a hill. And the crazy thing is they have these little quotes, that where they're like, I don't trust you anymore. They'll say stuff like that to your other party members. And not only will they do stuff like, shrug off a hill, but like everybody else in your party starts freaking out. Their stress starts going up because you have a bona fide crazy person in your party saying these crazy fucking things. So even as you explore these dungeons, as you get into battles, everybody's stress is... It's like it's inevitable the longer you're in this dungeon, the crazier they're going to become.
Is it the darkest dungeons?
And it's managing that stress meter that is sort of the biggest challenge of this game. And after you get out of a dungeon, your town has these various places like the tavern, or the brothel, or the church, and your stressed out members. The only way to reduce this stress is to send them to like the brothel and wait a week, and their stress will go down.
It's a pretty good brothel visit.
Spend a week at a brothel.
Yeah, exactly. Spend the week at a brothel. But the thing is,
week?
Yeah.
but the thing is, like they could develop like vices, you know, or they could be kicked out.
Syphilis.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and they could be banned from the brothel, or you could have a character who becomes like I had a character called with a negative trait called love interest, and he could only reduce his stress in the brothel. But if the brothel's busy with another dude, you know, then he can't use it. So
He's fucked.
Yeah, he's fucked.
I like what you were telling me, because I was watching Brad play the game earlier, about how like he sent one of his knight to the church to pray, but then while he was there, he just decided to go on a holy quest and was gone.
He just disappeared. He just disappeared, and he finally came back. But like, there's so much you have to manage in this game, and it's getting that stress down. It's the unique aspect of it, but it's also the most stressful part of the game.
So I have a question. Like every time, like I've actually watched you play quite a bit of it in the background while I'm working on
Sure.
stuff. And every time I look at the screen, like this is kind of what I see. It's this 2D plane there, and usually you have enemies in front of you, and you're participating in.
Yeah, that's me walking down a hallway between rooms.
So that's actually navigating the dungeon. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if you look in the bottom corner, that's sort of like the map of the dungeon.
Okay. So I was wondering if there's anything outside of combat, or if there, you know, you take turns and move across like a board, kind of, you know, secondary. But that makes a lot more sense now. You can actually
It's kind of board gamey in that sense, but
beautiful board game.
yeah, that's the
love
thing.
the animations.
It's got great animations, especially when you get like crits and stuff. It's
But
great.
actually, I look at this and I think, man, it's kind of hard. Like, what about this? Like, what have you noticed about this that makes it feel like it's an alpha? Because there's another game we're going to talk about.
Okay,
I played that was an alpha.
I have an answer for you, and it's kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about as far as this game goes. It does seem polished all hell. You know, this does seem like a game that can just kind of be put out there, with the exception of a couple of dungeons aren't available yet. But what seems off to me, do you have a...
Well, I was just to say, it seems from I've watched you play it a little bit. I on stream and I was watching you talking about it. It seems like it's polished, but it seems like it definitely needs a lot more work in the finer details, which can affect the overall gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. So my problem with this game, the reason I think it needs some more tweaking is the thing that's been driving me crazy, and I feel like the balance of the systems and the economy is just off. And as I'm playing this game, it's supposed to be challenging. I get that, and I play a lot of challenging games, but there's something about the balance in this game. Like you know, I could send people to the church to reduce their sanity, right, or to reduce their stress, but that costs money. I can send them to the sanitarium to remove one of these negative attributes that build over time. You know, as you're exploring dungeons and stuff.
Does that cost money?
But that costs money. You know, I can upgrade people's weapons and skills, but all that costs money. The thing is that the balance is off, and the reward you get from actually completing a dungeon isn't enough to make it feel like you're moving forward, you're progressing, you're getting ahead. Because no matter what, when you come out of a dungeon, you're always going to have to pay down people's stress, right?
It seems like you come out of a dungeon with more negatives than positives.
It kind of feels like that. And the problem is, so people will say, well, you need more than one party, which is true. You can recruit a lot of different people, and kind of, you know, while some people are recuperating, your others are going on dungeons. Or other parties are going into a dungeon. But the problem is at a certain point, your characters level up, and they get higher level, which means they can have access to more skills and access to more blacksmith upgrades and whatnot, but it restricts them from going back to lower level dungeons.
I think that's a little silly.
So what's fucked is you can never kind of stomp a low level dungeon with a high level party to kind of grind out some gold and some materials, because it restricts you. And the harder dungeons, even though they're my best guys, I feel like I'm doing worse because I'm restricted to these harder dungeons, which, you know, the enemies dodge more, they have higher resists, and I'm coming out of those dungeons in even worse shape than I was with my low-level guys. So what I find myself doing is just recruiting a bunch of like level 0 dudes, like the equivalent of like a rookie in an XCOM game, and bringing those into a dungeon and not buying any provisions, because you need to bring food into the dungeon. You need to bring torches into the dungeon because you got to keep everything well lit, because that affects your stress and whatnot. And I'm not buying any of that stuff. I'm just taking level 0 guys into a dungeon, trying to get as far as I can.
Expendables.
Yeah, expendables, and then just leaving the dungeon. And what I do is I just delete all those dudes because it doesn't matter, because I got the resources, you know, from that little bit of time I was in that dungeon. And then what do? I get 4 more rookies and go into a dungeon again and do the same thing. That feels super cheesy and not the way the designer intended, but that's literally the only way I can keep my head above water in this game, and it's really frustrating.
So you're essentially using these guys to grind out materials and gold, but you're not gaining any experience from it because you're just trashing these guys. Whereas if you could take your higher level people into lower level dungeons, you could get gold and materials and less experience than if you're going to a larger dungeon, but there's a little less risk in doing that.
I feel like some tweaking needs to happen. Like, they need to reduce the amount of money you spend on lowering.
What's up? My mic went out again. Whatever, just keep going.
Okay, well now we know it's the mic. There's a mic right over there. Swap it out real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just need to tweak just a little thing here and there, like increase the quest completion rewards. So when I'm taking these level 0 guys into a dungeon, I'm not completing the quest because the actual quest rewards, they're not even that significant. Mute your mic before you do that. They're not even that significant. So if they increase the amount of rewards you would get from actually completing a quest, I'd be more willing to complete a quest with my higher level guys instead of cheesing the game like I am. Or maybe reduce the cost of stress reduction. You know,
I think a big factor would just be letting your higher level guys go to lower level dungeons. I think that would help out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the long run.
It would. Now, some people could say, you know, thematically that's what they want. You know, maybe they want the game to get harder and make you feel more desperate. The problem is, there's not really like an end game yet.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of playing more and more of the game, but you don't feel like you're accomplishing anything. Like, I'm not amassing wealth. My characters don't feel like they're getting more powerful because these higher level dungeons are just beating me down even more. I'm not making it anywhere. Like, there's a list of like bosses and stuff you can kill, but those are just, you know, random little quests that pop up. They're not. There's not like a storyline. There's no end to the game as far as I can tell.
And so that's something when we were talking about it before the show.
Sorry,
it's fine. We were talking about it before the show, and that's one of the things. Like, I understand where you're coming from. It feels like you're always not even breaking out even. It always feels like you're always in a hole trying to break even. Whereas when I played Dying Light, like, I always felt like I was on top. I always had plenty of weapons. By the end of the game, I had like $300,000, where the most expensive weapon you can buy is like $20,000.
Yeah.
So I had 300. That's nothing. And so I feel like that game was almost too easy. So I feel like in a game like that, where you want it to be difficult, you don't want it to be difficult to where you feel like you're always in a hole. I think almost always breaking even is better than always being in a hole. Whereas always, not necessarily breaking even, but maybe you don't have thousands and thousands of gold, but maybe you come out of a dungeon with a higher level, and maybe you have enough gold to kind of get rid of all the negative effects and stuff like that.
You don't even have. I don't even necessarily want to feel like I'm creating gods or anything, but just make me feel like I have more options or something, like more agency in how I approach the game. But these higher level dungeons with these enemies with higher resist just feel like they're limiting my options and destroying these visions of builds I have for certain characters. Because if I create a character that's all about stunning and crowd controlling enemies, and now these harder enemies just aren't affected by that, I've just wasted all this fucking time.
Yeah.
Game balance is like, you know, it's the edge of a knife. You know, it's really easy to kind of get it wrong. And I think this game is close to getting it right, but it's early access. I think they need to tweak some things. Hopefully they will. But the core concept, the core mechanics of the game, like the actual battle system, is really good. So I have high hopes for this game.
I have a quick question. Do you think, so that complaint you had about not being able to go back into weaker dungeons with higher level characters, is that something that seems like it was an intentional decision that might be changed outside of the alpha, or do you think that's a permanent?
Again, I think that's a core design decision, and I don't think that's going to change. But there are, you know, like values here and there, you know, like Like I said, the returns from completing a mission, the cost to do different things in the town. That stuff can just be tweaked a little bit without changing any core design decisions, and the feel of the game would be very different.
Maybe like lowering the prices or getting rid of some of your like negative statuses.
Exactly. That's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Because like
I don't want to feel like I'm drowning.
Just from the brief time I was watching Brad, he came out of a dungeon and he wanted to get rid of the negative status effect on one of his guys, and it cost 1,200. We came out of the dungeon with 1,500.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're barely have any like, and it's not like he only has one negative status effect. He had like 4 or 5 negative status effects.
It's a balance. I can give you a quick example. Something like XCOM, Enemy Unknown. I played that game for 10 hours and I lost. That's fine, right? When I started over, I had obtained so much knowledge that I just kind of destroyed my next playthrough of that game, and that was very satisfying. I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong with the way I'm playing. It is just the economy, the balance of these systems that's fucking me over, which means if I started this entire campaign over again, it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't do anything. Nothing would change because I'm just drowning. Forever drowning. You know, Dark Souls is something that's very hard. But when you go in again, you've obtained knowledge and more Twitch skill, and you can face that enemy better than you could the last time. Yeah. That's not happening in this game. So it's hard and it's punishing, but it's not ultimately rewarding in the way that you expect a hard game to be. It's just oppressive.
You're not getting anything from that punishment.
Yes. But I have high hopes. The only other thing I want to talk about, I'll post in the forum thread over at 4playernetwork.com/forums. Community. There is a forum thread for Darkest Dungeon that some of us are posting. I know Scavenger Chunk is going to kind of do his intro. He's kind of working on a post of like starting advice, because it can be very overwhelming at first, the game. But I'll post in there my thoughts. I know I've been tweeting about it, how the game very much kind of feels like it was designed to be a mobile game, and it's probably going to end up on an iPad. But I'll talk about that in the forums. I think we should move on.
Okay. Well, kind of on a similar note, and by the way, my mic kind of went out during that first discussion, so I hope swapping it out fixes it. If it doesn't, I apologize. But I played a game this week that was also an alpha, Stranded Deep, which is I don't really know what drew me to this game in the first place. It seemed kind of outside of my wheelhouse. It's essentially just a survival game. It drops you into, I mean, I guess that could be akin to like Don't Starve. They literally just drop you into the world.
Forest. It really reminds me of, honestly, Lost in Blue.
Yeah, I never played that, but
game.
A lot of people were making that comparison when I was playing it on the feed.
Yeah, but
they literally they set it up at the very beginning. You're on a plane goes down in the ocean. You come out and
are you lost?
Scrawny, not Scavenger. Sorry,
you're the worst.
Scrawny flannel man. God damn it,
that's such a huge difference.
No, they're not different. They're like the same.
Wow.
So now they're all the same. Wow. All our community members are just the same.
They both start with an SC in their long names.
Okay.
Right.
You pay attention to the first 3 letters and then just completely break out.
And then he's done.
Scat.
Anyways, lost my train of thought here. Thank you.
Sorry.
You plane crashes. You're on an
plane
island.
crashes. You swim up. You're on you're. It's weird. You come out of this plane crash and there's like an inflated raft waiting for you.
He would hope that
They're
they
called
would maybe.
dinghies.
Yeah. Well, are they called dinghies?
A dinghy.
Yeah. I thought a dinghy is just a raft.
Well, a dinghy is like a small...
Oh, that's never... I'm sorry. I was confusing dinghy and buoy.
A buoy?
Yeah.
That's my bad.
There are buoys in this game.
Yeah.
But no, that's not it. But
okay, so sorry.
You swim up, you get on the raft, you kind of make your way to an island. It was very...
nice
I found myself... Because obviously, like, the big... everything you see with the marketing revolves kind of around swimming or being around sharks.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they're like the most
They're like the
obvious
dinosaurs of the sea.
Exactly.
Well,
and I was not expecting it to like literally throw me into it that fast, because literally the moment I got into that raft, there was already like the ominous music playing, and I look around, there's a fucking shark like circling me. I was like, Jesus, they didn't waste any time.
So are these realistic sharks or are they game sharks?
They're realistic sharks. Like
realistic in the sense that sharks usually don't attack people.
No, like, it wasn't officially attacking me, but it was like kind of circling the plane and scoping it out.
Curious.
In fact, I didn't really get attacked. I'll talk about that in a second. I didn't get attacked until like over an hour into the game.
Mm-hmm.
How far away from land were you? Like when you
like
how long did it take for you to get to this island that we see?
Oh, probably about 45 seconds to a minute.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like,
I know, right?
No. I was
You
in the
finally
raft.
see an island, you're like, oh, thank God.
No. You like it's not. I crashed and I was practically like on the beach, so I
Okay,
just like,
cool.
which was convenient. But which is funny because you spend a lot of time in this game going from island to island. So you essentially, I guess the progression of this game is meant to be like you go to an island, you kind of
Survive
on that island until you run out of resources, and then
go to the next one.
There's like a bunch of
It's like a chain of islands,
yeah.
like close to each other.
So you eventually just kind of realize you've done everything on this island, and you jump into a raft and paddle to the next island.
it's like a metaphor for how humans are destroying the earth.
From what I'm seeing, this is like the forest just with
Yes.
sharks instead of cannibals.
Yes, kind of.
Is that really what how the forest?
The forest
It's
looks
very
just
similar
like,
to
and
this.
it starts with a plane crash, except
Yeah.
you're in a forest instead of the ocean.
Yeah.
But
This
the
one's more
forest
about
was weird.
survival.
The forest was like all horror-y. Like,
Yeah, this is less
that.
that. This is more about just surviving.
Yeah,
So I
this-
mean, so I know it's an alpha, but is there an end goal? Like, can you build like a great little like tree, almost like Gilligan's
Is
Island
there a
hut?
helicopter
Yes,
that
okay.
comes?
You can. Okay, so if you're watching the feed right now, you're watching me like.
Can
This
you find
seems
a bow
super
and arrow?
tedious.
Yeah, no, it is. So you're spending a lot of time. Like you have to build your axe, you have to build your
Seems
your
like a new
hammer,
survival game.
and then you go and you like cut down trees, and then you have to hit it like 25 times to break it into 4 logs. And you can take the logs back to the to a little
You can
create a
pile.
pile, and then once you have enough in the pile, you can click on it, and a little menu drops down, and you can build like a foundation for a house or a bed or you can build a hut, Gilligan's Island hut. What I don't
Can you
quite
build a bamboo phone?
Coconut radio.
what I
Yeah,
don't quite
coconut
grasp
radio.
yet is like
Why?
why if you're just gonna get off that island and leave,
Like, why build a hut?
like these
you need to
islands
survive,
are
right?
but these
Are you
islands
gonna
are
get
far
off?
enough apart that I can see you easily going to another island and then quickly forgetting which island you had built your hut
Oh,
on.
there are other islands.
Oh yeah, there's
There's essentially a bunch of tiny islands. It's almost like a chain of islands.
yeah.
Archipelago.
In the 3
Yes.
hours that I spent, I was on like 3 or 4
So
different islands.
that's my question. So I assume building a hut and getting a bed maybe makes you rest better, so you have more stamina and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Is
honestly,
that
I
kind
never
of
built a
style?
bed. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I never slept, which
Really?
it seems like there's some balance. I feel like I would have needed to sleep. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's one of those situations where almost like State of Decay, you don't have to sleep in that game, but when you don't sleep, you start, it takes you longer to do things, you have less stamina,
less
stuff like that.
effective.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I assume it's similar to that in the sense that maybe building a hut maybe gets you protected from the environment more, maybe your health goes down slower, or your hunger goes down slower.
and I
kinda.
think a lot of these things are going to be in the game. It's just like more like unlike Darkest Dungeon, this game feels alpha as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This
That's the way the forest was too.
Yeah, this game couldn't be put out
But
as a final
that
finished
was
product.
something I wanted to ask you about though. How much of this did you play?
About 3.5 hours.
Okay, so you didn't really like get like super deep into it. You were just
Well, who even knows how deep it goes?
Well, right, but I mean,
I
like,
went to 4 different
but I mean, like,
islands.
they're like, I don't know. What I guess what I'm getting at is these kind of games. Like, my same problem with the Forest was that not only is the gameplay and like the mechanics of the game itself in like really early alpha, but it feels like they're not even done really deciding what the game
where the
is.
Yeah,
game's
no,
going,
definitely,
So like,
definitely.
I was just wondering, is there ever going to be a point where like you spend hours like building shelter and like finding food, and you're like going between these different islands just like collecting as many natural resources to stay alive as you can, and then one day like Lost style, you like come across a hatch and you're like, what the fuck? You know,
So
like does the
developer
idea ever
probably
go
doesn't
beyond
know.
that?
I mean, like a lot of these games are popping up, and I think a lot of it has to do because of the success of Rust, which was like this crazy overnight success. But Rust is an example of that type of game where when that started out, there were zombies roaming the world.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist
Yeah,
anymore.
they
they
took
just
that
changed what that game was and realized they didn't need that, and that's how I think these games are evolving. My only fear is that, like, maybe, I mean, a lot of these games are kind of going into early access, and because this Rust type game is really popular, making all their money and then just
And
kind
they're
of
just done.
it's like
like what was the one with the dinosaurs that fucking Chris Davis was creaming
Stomping
over?
Grounds?
Yeah, like
Stomping
lands or whatever.
Yeah.
Like apparently that game just
stopped.
kind of isn't.
But so,
really
so
doing
I think
much anything.
one of the reasons
as far as I was
why, one of
aware.
the issues is I'll play a game like this, and this is the reason I don't like when games come in alpha and they're like this state. Like I'll play it and I'll play it for like 40, 50 hours, And I mean, like, there's nothing really else to do in this game, and so I stop. And then the game maybe eventually comes out, but I have no reason to really want to play
Which is
it
my
anymore.
fear.
And so that's my problem with these types of games. And I think that's what's happening with their community is they see their community dropping off because maybe they're taking too long to develop it, maybe they're not putting out enough quick enough, and then people just lose interest, and then all of a sudden there's no more funds coming in, and they have no drive to make it anymore. So don't get me wrong, I have no issue with games coming out when they're alpha. I honestly think you very much need to limit the alpha. I don't honestly believe in like public open alphas.
I think it should
that's
be
a little silly.
like timed access to an alpha or something just to get feedback and
Exactly.
then decide where you're going to go next.
Exactly.
When it's I mean, it can be used effectively.
Whet people's
It's just,
appetite.
I
But
think
this
the
was
problem,
$15.
I think the problem with something like this though is like if I start playing this, I'm going to mess around with the systems and be like, okay, they've got, but like, why? What am I doing?
See,
Like,
no, I played for
why
3.5
am I
hours.
surviving? Is there like a day-night cycle?
yes,
Does
yes,
it
there
get
is.
to a point where like, oh, if I stay alive for like 3 months, a ship will come, or like if I get enough resources, I can finally build a boat and sail away
So-
from that. Is there anything?
We don't.
Yeah.
Is there any reason to
I have
play?
no idea. They don't set that up
Basically.
for you at all. And there's a few like really weird details, but like that really kind of stood out to me and made me go like, why is this out? Like first of all, like you keep track of everything on your watch.
Yeah.
Like your watch can somehow tell you how hungry you are
It's
and
like
how
a
thirsty
Fitbit.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but like,
See,
and
that's
then,
just a UI decision.
and you can also you can climb trees and pull coconuts down. And you can take like an axe and you can like this is really weird. You hit I figured I'd have to bust open the coconut, right?
Sure.
So
Bust
I hit
a
it.
nut.
It starts as a green coconut. I hit it 4 times with a hammer. It turns into a regular coconut.
Well, that's not that. You know how coconuts work, right?
But I hit it one more time and it turns into a drinkable coconut. And then I hit it one more time and then I can eat the coconut because it splits in half.
So coconuts are in a green. They have like a husk, and you peel off the husk, and then there's what you could normally look at like a brown coconut, and then maybe you hit it and you poke a hole in it so you can drink the water, the milk
it's
out
just,
of it.
it's just
Wait,
missing
I
a lot
I
of
thought
like
brown
context.
coconuts were like ripe coconuts.
No, that brown coconut is inside
like
a
the
green
inner coconut.
husk.
It's just like
They're different
it's-
stages of coconuts. I've seen
There are different types of coconuts.
Yeah.
maybe that's what it is, but I've seen a lot of survival
Sometimes
reality
coconuts
shows.
are pineapples.
But that's what I'm saying. My problem with this, like I got into Minecraft back in 2010.
Yeah.
Like back when it was like super
Way back
beta.
when.
Yeah, there was no objective. This is before Redstone. This is before there was a menu for the crafting system. You just had to pull up the thing and put things where they go, and if it crafted something, it did it. Like that's when I got into Minecraft, and I played a lot of it. And then now the game's a completely different game, but I have no interest in it.
Damn it! This is what I was afraid of was going to happen with Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
didn't want to play it.
so last thing I eventually got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna have to leave this island. There's nothing left to do here. So I got into a boat.
Can you?
And I started paddling.
You got into your lifeboat.
Yeah,
Or I didn't know if you could like build a life.
you
like
can
a
build a raft, but
Okay.
I haven't had a reason to yet because
The boat still. Maybe can you like lose the boat somehow?
you can lose track of it.
You just, where'd it go?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
There was one time where I thought I lost the fucking boat, but I
See,
didn't.
the boat could help you build shelter.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
just
so
turn it
like-
upside down.
The cool thing about this game is that like all the stepping stones are kind of in place to do some cool things, and like surviving is certain. Like yes, the watch is keeping track of how many days you survive. So I have a feeling it's just like
They're
survive
definitely
as long as
reaching
you
out to
can.
like the castaway kind of like
exactly.
feel.
No, in fact, like literally, less than 5 minutes after I started this game and got on the island, I found a fucking volleyball named Wally
There you
with
go.
a handprint on it and everything.
There you go.
Yeah, it was like that wasn't even like tongue in cheek or like subtle. That was just it was sitting in the
That's
sand.
the saddest part of the movie.
Sitting in the sand.
Grimrock
I
2
got
had
the
one.
fucking-
Yeah.
But like, how long did you have to search for it, or was it just
Yeah,
there?
no, it was like a hidden Easter
This was
egg.
like it was waiting for me on the island. In fact, I wouldn't.
That's really cheesy.
I wouldn't be surprised if it planned this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it was just like yes.
I can just imagine
There
the
was a
developer.
secret
"Hey, I'm gonna put this
objective
fucking
involving the volleyball.
ball-" Man, you saying that makes me hate this game now.
No, but the funniest part was that I got on the boat and started swimming. I'm deathly afraid of like deep water and sharks specifically.
Have
Both
you ever
those
been
things-
out into like you've been on cruises though?
Yeah, I don't really.
Do you like avoid the railing? Like you're afraid of going?
Well,
No.
you should anyway.
Oh, yeah, probably.
If you fall
Yeah.
off,
They're not coming back
statistically,
for
you're
you.
probably gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of deep water, open water. In fact, I won't watch that movie Open Water because it'll scare
Oh
the fucking
my
shit out of me.
That movie's hard.
I know. I can't do it. I've tried. But so there are points like the sharks will kind of circle around you, and I was like, I kind of got comfortable with it, and I was like, I'm in the boat, it's fine. And they'll swim underneath the boat, and their
nudge
tail
it,
will nudge it,
Yeah.
and fucking fell out of the boat. And I had a panic attack, and I look around, and it's swimming around, and then I realized, is it going to attack me? It's just circling at me. I was like, there's only 10 minutes left of my cast. Come on, I'm going to try and taunt it. People want to see this fucking shark attack me. And I was like, come on, come at me. And it wouldn't attack me. And I was like
a normal shark,
to
probably.
the point, yeah, but then it got to the point where I was swimming up to it and hitting it, practically hitting it in the face, trying to get it to bite me. And I was like, it won't bite me. And then someone was like, Nick, you're taking damage. It's attacking you. There's just no animation to indicate that it's attacking you. It just came near me, and my screen sudden small tinge of red, and I was like, oh, it's attacking me. It's just not frightening at all.
It's psychic shark.
Yeah.
So it needs a lot of work. The foundation is pretty cool, but man, it's one of those.
I want to see a survival game like this, but just goes super over the top. You can make coconut radios, and maybe a shark has a fucking spear when it comes at you.
You can eventually just build a helicopter out of palm trees.
Yeah,
Speaking of building helicopters.
Cool.
Wait, you played a game where you can build a helicopter?
Speaking of building things, is your game also in early access?
Mine is also an alpha early access.
What is
I don't know. We're playing a lot of early access games.
Later we're going to talk about Apotheon, which seems like it's an early access.
Oh, snap.
I'm sorry.
Oh, bummer. What a rain on the parade.
No, it's a cool game. We'll get to it.
Besiege?
Mm-hmm.
Besiege? That's the game I've been playing. And it's in Steam Early Access right now. There's version 0.01 or something.
It's like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Kind of.
Really?
It's okay. Wait.
Okay,
Stop.
Sorry.
It's not like an open world build things and then fly
I have
around
no
and do
interest.
lots of stuff. It's more they put you on a board with a target and maybe a few obstacles, and they say destroy that or do this, and then build whatever you need to do that.
It. So you can't build like a car boat plane?
I have you can build something, but
because that was always my objective in Kazooie is to build the most efficient car boat plane.
Going?
You can build crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean
it's very much the same thing.
I'm sure it will.
Whenever the footage starts, because we're on delay, I don't know if it's already playing, but this footage that I recorded here, it started with me building I was building a helicopter plane, and I had bombs under it, and I was trying to destroy a camp or something.
There it is.
And my plan was to fly over it and drop a bomb, but I couldn't get that to work. And then I eventually gave up and I started building a tank. And I started simply with 2 guns and a bunch of flamethrowers. And then as this whole thing progresses, this particular mission is destroy 90% of everything. That includes the soldiers, the tents, the cannons. So yeah.
Maybe you want to play the flies.
Make it work. I'm trying to make it work. The whole shtick here is that it's physics based. So every component that you
add to
put
it,
into your machine, has its own weight and its own inertia, and you can totally build. We were talking about this before the show. There's not really an economy to the game. They don't tell you oh, you can only put so many things on your machine, or your machine can only stand so much weight. It's just if you build a machine that isn't structurally sound, it'll just fall apart. Or I build these cannons. I by the end of this video, I have a tank, quote unquote, with 12 guns on it, and when I fire them, because there's one button to fire cannons and they all fire at the same time, the whole machine just rips itself apart. That's how most of these end. Is get your machine far enough to do enough damage to complete your objective, but it's probably also going to destroy itself too.
Crispy, I'm gonna say you're probably not ready for Kerbal Space Program.
Dude, I have Kerbal Space Program and I've tried it, and that shit is so fucking hard. This is a little bit more my speed because I don't need to get the siege engine into orbit in one piece. I can kind of just throw it at something with a bunch of bombs attached to it.
This is fucking cool though.
It is cool. My question for you is how much a game does it feel like? So this is early access. Are the objectives? So Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is a game with a similar concept, right? Yeah. Kind of build these crazy contraptions to complete all these objectives, but the objectives were well thought out. There was a game designed around well-made objectives. You say you could just kind of throw your contraption at the enemy to blow it up. Is that usually enough?
Sometimes it works.
And is that satisfying?
Sometimes it is.
So you don't.
And sometimes it
I want to see.
Sometimes it is the mission before this was it was a monolith on top of a hill that I had to destroy. Okay, and I figured out how to do it like with a super with like 4 pieces and just like a suicide bomber kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was super easy, but I was like, fuck that, you know? I want to do this like fun. So the objectives themselves are pretty simplistic. It's usually just like knock this thing over or blow this up or kill these people. But the replay, it's super quick to just like go back and replay. It's not really like, for me, it hasn't been something where it's not like
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I just put a bunch of flamethrowers on that one.
You know what this reminds me
It's
of?
not super, like, goal-oriented. Like, I don't really so much care about destroying my target as much as I do, like, destroying my target in, like, a really cool way. Like, what kind of awesome machine can I just throw at them?
Like, what kind of death machine can I make?
Like, what can, like, I love that. Like, something like that that's just spitting fire in all directions. It's not at all structurally stable. It catches on fire within, like, 2 minutes, but, like, somehow I can make it, like, achieve its goal. Like, I've even had machines where it'll be one of those levels where it's, like, destroy 90% of something, and, like, I had one in a different video where I just put blades on everything and it was like it had this huge like axle on it and I drove it forward and it killed a lot of guys, but the whole machine kind of fell apart. But the individual components, like all the wheels, are motorized independently. So if I keep holding forward, like the
wheels keep
severed,
going.
like the severed axle with like one blade will still kind of keep going. And I just kept holding forward for a long time until like eventually somebody like ran into the spinning blade and it finally like gave it to me. And I was like, yes, like you kind of limp across the finish line. Yeah, see, like on that one, the machine every time I pulled forward was like weighted too far back, so it'd like fall over. So I put a little axle on the back. This is not very structurally sound. This is me just like addressing one.
But you have made.
problem at a time.
It is possible to make structurally sound.
Yeah, I mean, if you really know what you're doing, like,
You know, I'd be really
like,
curious.
sure.
I'd be
you
really
can totally do
curious
it.
to see someone who's like an expert at this game, like make
I was
something and see
watching-
what the
see,
difference
I
is.
I
that's-
was watching a tutorial on how to build like a big like ballista, you know, like a giant crossbow.
Yeah.
And then I went and tried to make my own, and like the ballista literally was just ripping itself apart every time I tried to fire it. I'm just not an engineer, you know. It is possible to make machines that are actually right before the show. I was looking at like some guy was posting like how to design like a steering system that's a lot more stable, because the actual like just the basic steering components they give you in this game, if you just build a machine with the little like steering hinges on it, those hinges, like even if you just turn the machine too hard, they'll just snap. Like the machine will just pull itself apart. And this guy like figured out a way to like to arrange those self-driving wheels in a way that you didn't need those steering columns to do it. So there are people who are like going about this in a very like kind of
This is definitely a
engineering-
video / animated GIF fodder game.
Oh,
it is
definitely.
definitely that's definitely what it
That's
is.
what-
And that's
what got me
how
to
I
buy-
learned about it. I learned about this game by browsing Imager,
Yeah.
and I kept seeing all these GIFs of people making like, oh, someone made a giant robot that has a flamethrower for a penis and shoots cannons out of its butt, like, and I was like, oh, what is this game? And it's called Besiege, and I look it up, and it was
Peaked my
$7, and I was like, yes, I will buy this game, yes.
The $7 price tag.
I love how eventually it becomes like a.
Yeah, see, like,
As it
there's so
falls-
many guns on it, it just pulls itself apart whenever it fires.
I just love like at some point it eventually just turns into a giant ball of flame. You can't even see what it used to be anymore.
Well, that's about half of the number of total guns I end up with.
I will say
Every time it doesn't work, I just add more guns so that like that first volley will get maximum carnage before the machine just burns to pieces.
I will say that the $7 price tag has me a little suspect as to how
What
much
to
of a
expect.
game a game this is going to become.
mean,
well, I mean,
it's-
it's early access. Like I feel like that's more appropriate for something like this. And, like,
This is another one of those things, kind of like Stranded Deep, where this is really just like a system. They just put together like a game system, packaged in a few like pre-made levels that you can fuck around with, and threw it up for $7. This is a lot more justified to me because I don't care about story. Like, these are just like little self-contained boards of just knock this piece over, kill this piece, destroy this castle. And the real like gameplay, the real fun of it is like what I'm doing right
Yeah.
here, just figuring out like how am I gonna build a crazy death machine.
I just don't. I want creative objectives. So Banjo-Kazooie kind of ran into this issue a little bit, but it had a lot of objectives that were very varied. And I don't want this to get to the point where you can just kind of make a catch-all vehicle that can accomplish all the objectives because it's well made.
Well, I don't know because I've only played about half of the available boards in the alpha version.
That is going to fall the fuck apart.
Yes, it is, and I realized that right about here. And I'm like, oh, I should put some more wheels on this, I guess. I don't think this is... I don't know. If... As a start to a game, it's pretty promising. How deep they decide to go with it, who knows? And they even say on their early access page, like, we don't want to take any risks about, like, saying this game's going to be available in full release anytime soon. They're looking at, like, at least 2 years.
Okay.
From now.
What?
That's what they're saying.
I think it's essentially...
They're saying
just
a year
look,
and a half to 2 years. They just don't
we just
wanna...
developed this system.
Yeah.
Here it is if you want to fuck around with it while we make the game.
Yeah, while we decide, like, what kind of objectives and, like, story... So... I wouldn't be surprised if things like an economy and like a weight system like get added in later.
Is
you
what
know?
you would need.
Which is what will make it more gamey. But as it is right now, the actual like physics system is a hell of a lot of fun to just fuck around with, you know? And I mean for $7, like for me that wasn't like if I bought it and played it for like 4 hours and then never touched it again, that wouldn't be...
Did you just put a cannon directly in front of another cannon?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
They're all staggered. But I did put 2 flamethrowers and then a cannon in the middle of it, and I don't know why because I think
we get to watch it from this perspective.
Oh yeah, you can fuck around with the camera, and then it just kind of...
I will say the game does have a pretty great visual style.
Yeah,
it does. It's got that really like kind of simplistic almost. Like
Like
Kid and Go or
Tomorrow
something.
Children has a style very much like this.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It looks really cool. Holy shit!
Yeah, and then I fire the guns, and the whole top deck just rips itself off.
Oh man, that's fun.
I mean, there are way better ones. There's already a shit ton of like funny like Besiege fails and gifs and stuff out there that you can look up, but that's kind of like these moments.
It seems kind of Angry Birdsy.
Yeah, I mean,
or the other spin-off game.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Is almost exactly like that, right? The one where you're the pigs and you're making crazy contraptions, right?
I never played
I
that.
didn't know that was a thing.
What is it called? Where
sounds
you play as
cool.
the pigs.
Angry Pigs?
Angry Pigs?
Angry
Damn it,
pigs.
Crispy.
No.
Pigs.
Bad piggies, something like that.
Yeah.
Piggly Wigglies.
So, let's talk about Apotheon. I do want to talk about a little bit about Dying Light because I did start playing that. But
Okay.
we've talked about that before. Let's go ahead and get Apotheon out of the way. Brad, Nolan, you play it too?
Yeah. How far did you get in it, Brad? I know you kind of slowed down your progress to a stop.
I did
To
for
a
a reason. For a reason. I don't know. I completed like maybe 3 of the areas.
Okay, that's probably about where I am.
Yeah. So, yeah, Apotheon, it's the free with PlayStation Plus game.
For this month, so go get it if you haven't. It's free, you might as well.
It's kind of that Metroid-y style game with the Grecian urn art style.
Yep.
Which, man, at first glance, like, absolutely striking. This game is
it's
fucking
great,
beautiful.
Great style.
Great style. And I'm actually a little surprised by some of the unique things that this game is doing that I didn't expect, and 2 haven't really seen before in this type of game.
Like what?
So, what if I told you that this game might look like a Metroidvania, but it has like elements of something like Skyrim in it?
Yeah.
Where there are like there's an area specifically where there's walls and there's guards, and you can lockpick a house and like sneak in, or if you kill someone,
The guards get on alert. Like if people
guards
start
get on
running,
alert and
Yeah.
they'll run at you and they say you violated the laws of Olympus, pay a fine or we're going to kill you. It's very
It's
Skyrim.
great because sometimes you'll see a guard and he won't attack you, but he'll kind of run a few steps away and just pull out a horn and and like just guards will just start coming in.
Yeah, it's very like a lot like Skyrim, which I didn't expect. I've never really seen it in this type of game before. But other than that, I would say that the other unique thing is the kind of how physicsy the combat is.
Shit.
The game has a lot of physics to it.
That's cool.
It has a lot of physics, and the combat is very kind of like Mountain Blade a little bit, where we're aiming your weapon, whether it be a spear or a sword, is in the timing behind that. Like a well-timed aim shot at a head will actually give you like a headshot, and you'll
critical
fell an
damage.
enemy a lot quicker.
And there's so many different weapons that they all are completely different. A spear is completely different from an axe, different from a sword, different from a hammer, different from like a bow, different from like a dagger. Every weapon interacts completely differently with the environment. So you have to kind of know what you're using and know like, oh, this weapon will kind of get around their shield if they have a shield up. Whereas I don't want to just be poking at them if they have a shield up, because that's not going to do anything. And there's a lot, even the physics of your movement. If you're moving when you attack, you do more damage. If you're kind of going forward versus like going backwards. Yes, enemies don't just stand there and like take it. They jump around, they dodge. They like
the enemy AI is really good in this, which you don't see very often.
How similar in like structure is this to like Guacamelee?
It's kind of Guacamelee, except you're not really getting powers that unlock secrets and stuff.
So the secrets are there are broken walls like you can throw explosives to break open.
So the Metroidvanias play down a little bit, or
I would say it is.
It just feels more like an RPG kind of, where you'll find like a key in one part of the world that'll unlock a secret place in another part of the world.
The things that's stopping you are essentially locked doors in a lot of cases, or you're going to an area and you can't enter this door until you complete these 3 areas, and then you can enter it. So that's why I would say yes, the Metroidvania aspects are played down a little bit. And I would say it's more of an adventure game than it is a Metroidvania. Yeah. It's just the map layout is very Metroidvania in the sense that you go through a door, you're in a huge map area, and you can explore the whole thing and find doors to new areas and stuff like that. And there are a couple of puzzly things. Like, did you go? It wasn't in Hades. Yeah, in Hades, I think.
I haven't gotten to Hades yet.
Oh, okay. So there's this one where there are these like symbols above doors, and it's a kind of puzzly, and you kind of figure out what you're doing. Dude, Hades is crazy because they're like the souls of the damned, and then to attack you, they just run up to you and they're like, soul, and they're just like sucking your life force out of you, and you're like, get away.
There's a lot of really cool ideas.
Why is this game not on Vita?
That's a good question.
Well, it might not be. It might not run on Vita so well.
Yeah, it's actually it's a lot more technical than you think.
I'm gonna be on a plane tomorrow, and I was like,
a lot of physics.
I gotta be playing Apotheon.
A lot of physics too.
Guys, quick question. This is totally unrelated, but I just wanted to ask it while I'm thinking of it. Is Game of Thrones, Telltale Game of Thrones on Vita?
Not yet. It will be eventually, probably, but not yet.
I think
I have nothing to play on the plane.
They usually do those like Vita releases of their games after
the whole sets come out.
When they do the disc.
So some of the other cool stuff about this game is there are secrets. There are kind of hidden areas that you can find. And I found this like by diving into the water and going through this kind of dark area and finding an entrance to this place. I found a witch.
They're swimming.
They're swimming, underwater swimming. Who sold me these potions, and I can like summon like a wolf to my aid, or I can summon like a skeleton. Like I can summon these creatures who will fight along with me.
And there's a crafting.
There's a crafting.
You buy
system.
recipes, you craft stuff based on the materials you kind of pick up on the fly.
Yeah.
It's. I will say though, like some of these ideas seem a little half-baked. Like I like how there's all these great weapon types, but the durability on everything's super low, and you just have this giant inventory of all these different weapons, and because they're all so disposable, I'm just like kind of throwing whatever I have at the enemy a lot of the times because
you can throw like any weapon.
Yeah. I don't mean literally throwing, but I'm saying like I'm just pulling shit out and using it. I wish it was a little more finely tuned to where I kind of cared about the weapons a little bit more, but because the durability is so low and you can't really repair that.
That's
and there's cool weapon ideas. Like there's a hammer that's not super strong, but if you get a kill with it, it'll give you armor. You know, which is like kind of like a shield that
it's a shield. That's all it is you have health and you have an armor, and the armor will just go down. And as soon as the armor's gone, your health starts going down.
That's a really cool idea, but I kind of don't care about that weapon as much because I know it's eventually going to break, and I have 20 other weapons in my inventory.
So Bob says you need to get to Poseidon because it's underwater.
I hear good stuff
that's probably good. So that's what like Brad is saying. There's so many weapons in this game, and one of the things is switching weapons doesn't pause the game. Mm-hmm. So like you literally can't care about what weapon you're using because you don't have time to find the junk one you want to use or the good one or whatever, because while some of them do have like there's assassin's weapons that will do like double or like a insane amount of backstab damage, which to the point where all you really need to do is jump over someone and maybe quickly, if you time your stab right in midair while you're jumping over them, if you hit them in the back, they're dead.
Or even throw it.
Or you can throw it at them and hit them in the back.
I'm waiting for a big
well, that's what like Brad was saying. There's so many, and the durability is crazy. Like some weapons will break after like 15, 20 like pokes, but that also includes like poking like like boxes on the ground that you try and break open to get loot out of. That lowers the durability of your weapon, and it just they're breaking so easily, and like it's just.
I do have a big butt.
What? Okay, I'm sorry about that.
I have a large actually the
Large
butthole is surprisingly
Okay.
hey,
I have a large rump.
gaping. Hey, listen. So I stopped playing this game.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a patch because this game has been crashing on me like
It's only crashed on me once so far.
crazy. Like just out of nowhere.
Are you playing on PS4?
Yeah.
Yes. Like just
Look at that big old spear.
drops me to the dash. You're playing PS4?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It just drops me to the dashboard.
That's with the two patches they already released?
Apparently.
When was the last patch?
I don't know. I just remember when I
Probably,
downloaded it, there
Brad.
were already like
Probably.
two patches.
Okay, well, it's been crashing a lot on me. The other thing that's been driving me crazy is there is 0 dead zone in this game.
Yeah.
And both PS4 controllers that I have,
That sucks.
they drift to the right. So my character will just start running to the right by himself. And the combat in this game is very like precision, based, and to have my character just start running to the right is frustrating as shit. And it's such an easy fix, and I'm hoping they account for it in a patch. You just put in, just the slightest bit of dead zone there, and it stops doing that. Because I'm not even moving the stick, just like it's sensitive like a fucking new 3DS analog nub. I'm not even really moving the thing. It's just you just press on that stick slightly to the right, like you just breathe on it to the right, and your character will start running. Which I've run into those issues. I know it's a dead zone issue because I've had those issues in like emulators. I've played before, like PlayStation emulators and whatnot, and you can go in there and just add like 2% of dead zone, and it stops doing that.
Yeah.
And that's all they need to do in this fucking game. And I don't want to play it until they patch that.
I will say that the things you can adjust in this game are a bit limited. The settings in the back end are very limited.
What is going on?
The climbing is a little janky.
Yeah, like you can climb up any kind of ledge that's sticking out. You can kind of hold on to it. And so I was holding onto the ledge and shooting an arrow into like a little trigger thing that would open a door. So yes, I was apparently somehow holding onto the ledge and shooting a bow and arrow.
Well, you're kicking your legs really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So that helps.
But one of the things I wanted to say is the best weapon in this game is like a rock or a boulder.
Oh,
Like you'll get like this giant, like maybe like I don't know, like 40, 50 pound rock, and you just slowly pull it behind your head, and if you throw it at someone, they're dead.
I love games. I mean, I can't think of another game specifically, but there are games with heavy objects like that are just the most damaging thing, and I love
Like
that
they're
shit in games.
super slow. It takes you like 5 seconds to like wind it back into a throw, but if you can hit someone, they're just dead.
Something like Yakuza has big heavy items that you throw at people and just boom. Or like Spelunky throwing objects
Because
at people.
there's actually a boss fight where that's like the easiest way to kill the boss, and I found because there's just boulders all over the area, and I was like, what happens if I and then like 5 hits with a boulder.
Did
and the
you
boss
fight
was dead.
Artemis? Wait, who's the one in the forest? Did you go to the forest?
Yeah, I went
yet?
to the forest. Yeah,
You killed the boss?
Yeah.
The one that turns you into a deer?
Yeah. Oh my god, that was.
So are you playing on hard?
Normal, I think.
Okay, I'm playing on champion difficulty.
Okay.
And it's great for like moment to moment combat.
Yeah.
Because you just have to be on your toes that much more. But I feel like the balance for that boss fight was really thrown off because
even
it
on
was
normal,
so
that
frustrating.
boss fight was bullshit. So that you fight this boss, and she's like a forest like nymph almost, and so
Nympho.
yeah.
Oh.
And so at the
Okay.
beginning of the battle, she turns you into a deer, and you can't attack, and so you have to run away and attack, or like essentially hit these nodes to be turned back into a person. And as soon as you are, she turns into a deer. And so now you're chasing her and like shooting arrows.
And she gets all the altars.
But the thing is, like, she has to hit all the altars, but she has like all these fancy arrows, and she has like her fucking aim is immaculate, and like it's just like, oh, that boss fight was
so
frustrating
when you turn into a human, you're just desperately trying to just throw all your shit at her because
she's like running away. Yeah.
Well,
it's a cool game. I just
gonna wait till it gets patched.
Yes.
I might do the same thing. I mean, not like I don't
Well,
have to play
for all I know,
full
it might
right now.
it might have been patched.
It's worth
I've
checking.
really enjoyed it. I've only had it crash on me once, and there's a couple of little issues, but I mean, I'll keep going with it. I'm enjoying it.
Cool.
Dying
I
Light.
just want to
That's
really
fine. No, we can talk
briefly
about it.
bring up Dying
Chris,
Light.
you started too, didn't you? A little bit?
I mean, I was playing it. I haven't played it since I don't
okay.
think last
Too busy
time.
training and Smash.
Yeah, too busy.
Smashing it up.
Get my chops.
How far are you into it, Nick?
only about 6 hours. I'm not super far, unfortunately. But
It's actually it's a decent chunk game. It's pretty long.
I'm liking
I told
this
you.
game.
I told you. Like it's much better than I thought too.
I will start by saying the one thing about this game, mechanically or design wise, that just fucking irks the shit out of me is, and as far as I can tell, it's not really a way to change it in any significant way. Is the kick button and the use secondary item button is L1 and L2.
Yeah.
And sometimes I want to just run up and kick a dude, and I end up throwing a Molotov instead. And the only thing you can switch is to switch it to R1 and R2 instead.
That is a little silly.
And like the number of items that I've wasted instead of doing a kick is just.
In that case, I would just say equip something that's not throwable.
Yeah,
maybe.
so, I mean, I've been trying to get in the habit of doing that, but sometimes I just forget.
Later on, Nick, you'll get the grappling hook, and you'll always have that equipped. So if by anything you'll just accidentally grapple.
I've kind of
them.
defaulted to having the UV flashlight.
Oh, okay.
That's useless during the day.
Correct.
So the things
Took me a while to figure that out.
things that I love about this game. This game is everything that I kind of wish Dying Light Dead Island had been.
Yes.
I think the world is it's smaller, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty.
You're in the
packed.
first area.
How many areas are there?
There's one more area that's slightly smaller than this one, and then there's a third area that's like pretty small.
Gotcha.
But I mean, you're maybe like you're going through like I don't know. I would say like not 2/3 of the game, a little less than 2/3.
I haven't been spending a lot of time with the stories so far.
But that's the thing
I
is
just get
like
caught
any
up
other
exploring.
game, and some of the best things are just found off the beaten path. Either doing side quests, or have you found any of like the outbreaks? I think that's what they're called. Like, there are these quarantine zones.
I haven't done those
Yeah,
yet.
like they don't tell you about them. They're not. There's no main story thing. It's just you'll stumble upon them.
Yeah.
And like if you see something that has like a bunch of caution tape on it,
Yeah.
like a building that looks like it's like you'll have like quarantine tape. That's
Is
like
it full of zombies or something?
well, so not always. They're like kind of like not mini games, but they're mini areas that have like objectives. Like maybe it's kill all the zombies.
Yeah.
Maybe it's collect these things while avoiding this. Like it's a pretty cool little mini thing off to the side. That's not you can play the entire game and never experience one of them.
So like, I'm still at the point where I'm like the weapons that I'm using are pretty basic.
Yeah. Have you started like focusing on blade weapons?
A little bit. Well, the blade weapons that I've only had one like good blade weapon is the one they give you so far, which is the one where the guy cuts off his hand and you take that. Like, that's the only thing I've really used blade wise. I've been using baseball bats and.
So I would say try and find blade
wrenches.
weapons.
Yeah.
Because that's when you start slicing off limbs, and that's when it gets really good.
Which is fun.
So yeah, police cars.
Yeah,
Or
no,
police
I
vans.
remember what you said last time. I've been keeping my eyes
Those
peeled
are
for
like
them.
the best ones that you want to. They always have either good weapons or weapon upgrades in them.
Yeah.
This game.
The things that I want to bring up that I really love about this game is because they added the whole free running element to it. Like, once you get like when I first went into the world, I was really like slow and like
very much.
I was very cautious and very paranoid. But once you start to get your confidence running around and you can just free run and whatever,
Like you don't even care about
you're
zombies
super
anymore.
snappy.
You just kind of run past them, like whatever.
And you feel, it gets to that point where it just feels really natural, and that's really cool. Also, I love the moments where you're in the world and all of a sudden you see a plane fly over and you see...
You like hear it.
Yeah,
like,
you hear it and you're like looking for the plane.
It's
and
exactly like Rust.
Yeah.
Like when you hear the supply drop coming.
And then you see the supply drop in the parachute and it kind of disappears behind a building and you're
And
like...
you just bolt for
I'm
it.
bolting for it because if you
You're
wait
making
too
me
long...
want to play this game. I'm
It's
seeing
good.
the running.
Dude, it's weird because they also vibrate the controller when the plane's like making a drop. I've been like caught in areas where like I can't see or hear the plane. My controller's just vibrating like crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, this game is broken. Like,
So that's like a really cool feeling, and also kind of in a similar sense when the sun starts to set and you get that phone call on the walkie that says from Jade, she's like, the sun's setting, you only have a little while to get back to base, and you're just like, and honestly, like I'm terrified at night because
So I will say,
so far,
it was about close to 20 hours before I really started going out at night.
Yeah,
I mean,
avoided
you
the
get the
plague.
call and the guy's like, "All right, get back to a base. Good night and good luck."
Let me
And you're
ask
like,
you-
"I'm getting back to a base. Like, fuck this. Like, I am not going to be
Like,
out at
Why
night."
would you go out at night?
So the main reason to go out at night
is cool, though.
is because your agility, essentially the points you get from vaulting over things, and your power are doubled. Meaning you level up
So you-
twice as fast at nighttime.
which is cool incentive, but it's also terrifying
Because that's when the nightmares come out.
and it's dark as fuck.
Yeah, so it's very dark. You have to have your flashlight on,
But
or
you-
you can find like nighttime vision.
And there's skill trees that I think there's a skill tree that that makes it more visible at night? Is that or visibility is better
You
at
can
night?
get like those boosters.
Yeah, the
though.
boosters that
Oh,
let you
that's what I'm
have night
thinking of.
vision.
Yeah.
So you can use boosters. You can also use flares, the UV flares, which are pretty cool.
Do the nightmares react to your flashlight? I'm still
Yes.
unclear on that.
Yes, they do. Like not if it's like not if they're really far away, but they can't see the the flashlight.
I'm getting a certain I'm still kind of at the learn. I've only been out really caught out at night once.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying, and I died like 2 or 3 times. But it's starting to kind of give me the same vibe that I had from like Alien Isolation when I was sneaking around hiding from the aliens. I played more of the game, I got better at it, and I got to the point where I felt really like, okay, I'm gonna stay low and stay quiet, and now's my opportunity to dart across this alleyway and try to avoid those things.
Did you see them roaming around?
Yeah. So
And
on
you
your
can even see
mini
that
map, you can see their
cones.
cone of vision.
This game sounds
But it's necessary because when you're early on in the game, you really can't be caught by them. Like
You have an
you will
Xbox?
I'm
not.
buying an Xbox.
So one of the things I'll say is one of the big problems with this game is, like I was saying earlier, there's no real penalty. Like when you die, you'll lose some survivor points, which is like you have 3 different ranking systems: survivor, agility, power. You'll lose some survivor, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like I honestly wish you would lose like maybe weapons or something like that,
Yeah.
because there's no dying. It's like whatever in this game. Now don't get me wrong, it's so fucking scary when someone's chasing you and stuff like that.
I did lose. It said I lost like 600
Survivor.
survivor points.
Yeah.
Is that what happens when you die?
That's all that happens. You use survivor points. The most I've ever lost is like 4,000. But for seeing a random survivor on like in the world being attacked by a zombie, if you run up and slash that zombie and they die, you get like 5,000.
Yeah.
So it almost, and like for supply drops, you get insane amounts of survivor points from supply drops, which is why when Jaeger and I played the game, if we're in like the middle of a story mission and we hear a plane, we fucking just bolt. We're like, whatever, we'll come back to this.
See,
Let me get to this.
I really
plane.
want to play this co-op.
No, and so I will say, and that's one of the things I've praised this game about, is the co-op and the single player are the exact same. The only thing you can't do in co-op is the very last mission. You have to do that solo. But you can play literally the entire game in co-op with up to 3 other people. And it's fun. Just like playing with other people, getting to like kind of juke zombies. Like when you come across those big guys, you can kind of like take turns like slashing at them and stuff. Because
Yeah.
I mean, zombies are dumb. But
Bang bang.
what is the most advanced like zombie you've seen?
I just met the spitter things for the first time.
Okay, so that's the thing about this game is the more you play, they start introducing new zombies that make the game more difficult. Like the
Yeah.
spitter. Later on, they're going to introduce like a boomer type.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Like they start introducing the virals, which are like the fast runner ones that come out even during the daytime. And if you make too much noise, like you'll hear them start screaming, and you'll see them start running towards you, and they'll like kind of create more of them.
Yeah.
And it just starts getting crazier, and you have to like those are the ones that you can't escape from them by climbing up a wall, because they will climb up after you.
Yeah.
And like it's
So it's good. I'm liking it a lot. I just real quick, one thing, couple
and
things I want to
there's
bring up.
even another zombie.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Please speak into your mic when you're talking.
I am. Oh, this? I'm just holding it. Sorry. So, I love games, and I said this on Twitter the other day. I love games that reward you with experience just for doing
constant,
things.
like,
It's like you
rewarding
vault
you.
over a thing, it's like 15 experience towards agility.
Yeah.
Or you hit a zombie, it's like 15 points towards
Power.
Elder Scrolls
and then on
thing.
top of that, you're putting these into skill trees, but I think are pretty fleshed out and pretty robust.
Yes.
So if you're a fan of skill trees, like I
Like
know you
me.
are, Brad, you might like it a lot. And also, I got to a point where you had to climb a tower, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, great. Far Cry all over again to climb this radio tower. And then I got to the top, like the tippy top, and I was like, holy shit, this is high up. And then I realized, I don't know how I'm going to get down. I couldn't figure out how to get down without
the
either
funny-
killing myself.
You can
or-
zip line.
You can
No,
zip line.
there's
for
a
most
zip
of them.
line, like,
a
down.
few
And
floors down.
There are also you can't really. I climbed that tower twice because I did it once just for the fuck of it, and then the next
story
story
mission?
mission made me go do it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Fuck you."
You could jump
But-
from the top into a little pool down at the bottom and get an achievement for it.
Yeah.
No,
That's correct.
yeah.
No, but they do have like little
Trash.
piles of garbage.
Yeah.
That, like you can't really see them from the very top, but like you can hit.
See,
them
I
if you
was
climb.
hesitant because I was like, "There's probably a pile of garbage if I just jump,"
Yeah.
but I couldn't see it, and I was honestly starting to get like weak in the knees, looking down. Like you're fucking high up there.
So it's like Assassin's Creed. No matter how high you are, if you land in that pile of garbage, you're fine.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Jaeger and I were playing and we're doing a mission, and you have to do that to get to the next area. And I jump and I'm fine, and Jaeger jumps and like he dies, and it turns out there's this giant pile of trash and a single spot in the middle where there's no trash, and it's fucking smaller than a person, but he hit that one spot, and so just bam,
See,
dead.
it's ultimately really cool.
But co-op, you can revive each other.
I honestly
like,
had more fun climbing these towers than I did in Far Cry. Like,
Yeah.
the towers are pretty tall and intricate,
And-
there's probably not nearly as many of them.
No, there's not. So that's what I was saying. The second area is a lot more vertical. It's almost Assassin's Creed style, like big cities with tall like structures, and that's when the grappling hook becomes really good.
That's exciting.
And so the thing is, I've said it, but when you get the grappling hook, you can only grapple twice before it has to recharge, and it takes like 5 or 6 seconds to recharge.
Can you upgrade it?
Once you hit level 25 Survivor, you can use your grappling hook like 6 or 7 times. I think it even goes farther. Like you're just fucking just like zip lining it, like almost like Spider-Man 2. Like I would say more Just Cause, like just kind of just aiming it somewhere and just pulling yourself.
Well, that's fucking cool. I'm excited. This is the first game I've dived into since mid-November, so I'm really having a good time with it. So I'll keep playing it. In fact, I'm going to broadcast it on Friday when I cast.
Let me know when you meet the Screamers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I can't wait. I want to play in co-op with Crispy. I know Zach. Well, Zach actually didn't have his access to his PS4 right now, which is what a lame-o.
So the only thing I will say
don't
with
know.
co-op is try to play with people similar in level to you.
Yeah.
Because everything is affected to each player completely different. Everyone gets their own loot, they get their own everything. And so the thing is, if I were to go into your game, it would also bring the higher level zombies with me, because it's not gonna like. But then I'm also gonna be getting weapons with base damage of like 900.
Yeah.
Where yours are like a base damage of like 50, 60,
Yeah.
something like that. And so I mean, like, I'll just be like, I'll walk up to a zombie and slice them, and their top and bottom half separate, while Nick's like trying to beat them with a wrench. So I mean, like, try and like play with people around the same level. Just
Maybe
because
I'll
it makes it more fun.
reach out to the community. Maybe I'll do a community multiplayer night or something with
That could be good.
with patrons or whatnot. You know, we're doing that now.
Yeah, fuck me, right?
And fuck Crispy. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, it's up to 4 players, or is it 3 players?
Yeah, 4 players.
4 players,
Four
Crispy.
players.
Oh, I'll join in on my Xbox.
Well,
Oh, all right. We gotta take a break. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a break. We'll come back in a second, and we're gonna do community. We have a kind of a new revamped community, sorta. We'll do news. We'll do news. We'll answer a few Patreon questions, and then do chatter for the week. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a second.
We're recording.
Yeah, we're recording.
Cool. Let's go. News.
News.
Shit, I'll go last.
I'm glad Brad is prepared. Nolan, would you
What's
like
up?
to go first?
Sure. So I wanted to talk about news.
I hope Chris Davis is ready with these overlays. We just kind of jumped right in. Anyways,
Yeah.
go for it.
I wear down the street. Is that the new Persona 5 trailer came out? Or I guess the first Persona 5 trailer, and fucking, it looks amazing.
That game looks
The
sexy.
First of all, just the soundtrack brought me back. I love the Persona like OST. The soundtracks, all the Persona games are always
I see you're
good.
playing Persona 3 this week.
A little bit.
Was that inspired by?
Maybe it was. The UI.
Oh my God.
When I first watched, I watched the trailer multiple times. When I first watched it, I didn't realize that what they were showing was just like menus and like UI in the game, and it looks phenomenal. Like it's very classy.
I saw
It's
Zach tweet the other day, and he's like, little known fact. The UI in Persona 5 has more flair and personality than most AAA games on the market these days.
definitely. Like it's like even like when he was in his room, like with his feet propped up on his desk, kind of deciding what he wanted to do for the evening. Just like the way the UI interacts with, like it looks so good, and I'm excited about it. Apparently, these are supposed to be some bad kids. They're not like good kids. They're kind of like rebels without a cause.
Yeah.
a little bit.
Are they no longer high schoolers?
No, they are.
They're high schoolers.
I'm pretty sure.
Those, but honestly,
Especially since they were like sitting in a classroom, like a high school
though,
classroom.
it really got me itching to go and finish Persona 4 or to speed that process up.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm going to play a little bit this week. But
You don't speed up beating a Persona game.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I had to play it in order to finish it. I haven't had time to play anything. So
And that's one of my biggest like regrets is that Persona 3, I put like 80 hours into it, and then my save file got corrupted.
Yeah.
And so I'm restarting that. But the other thing, just real quick, I wanted to mention, did y'all see, I posted in Hip Chat, some new Final Fantasy 15 footage. Did
I
y'all
haven't
watch
watched
that?
it yet. No.
Yeah, I watched
It looks fucking good. Like every time I see this, like it just like when I see it in the HD and like this is
Full
what the
mass,
game's
just-
gonna look like oh my god, it looks beautiful. Like I am excited to play that game. Just like them, like they were like crawling under some like log almost or something, and like a behemoth is right outside, and it like zooms in on the behemoth, and it looks so good. Like
It looks
I
really
am
good.
so excited for that game.
Me too.
Maybe finally have a good Final Fantasy game after a while.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't forget, it's all part of the fabulous
I meant,
Nova
like-
Crystallis.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
exactly, not
Wait,
that.
say again? Never mind. I get you.
I'm not saying Lightning Returns wasn't good. I'm just saying
Everybody should play
That's
Lightning
not
Returns.
a traditional Final
That is
Fantasy
true.
game, and
Definitely
that's what
not.
I'm waiting for.
Definitely not.
Crispy news.
Crispy.
Okay. God damn, I just lost it.
I'll go. It's funny because it's related to Xenoblade. I mean, Xenoblade.
You messed it up.
You're the worst! No! Do over! Persona, it's funny because there's a forum thread on the forums where I was kind of ranting about Xenoblade X's character models and relating that to the new Persona trailer that we just saw. And hey, you know, you can make a pretty JRPG and this one looks weird. Yeah, check out on the forums for that. But there are some details that I want to talk a little bit about, and I guess more about Xenoblade X in general. I guess we always kind of knew that Xenoblade X was going to have some sort of online component, but now it's like official, and it's going to be like 4-player online co-op missions.
Ooh, oh, missions like just like doing side missions or what?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Well, I'm guessing kind of like Monster Hunter or whatever. Like you can go out and do certain missions with multiple people.
Don't the four of us have Wii U's?
And there is, and there's also like 32-player like areas where people, you know, like hubs that, you know, up to 32 people can log on and like trade and stuff. So,
But what are you trading?
like items and stuff,
Just like any item, like a potion,
like equipment. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't know.
But, okay. So, one of the big problems with Xenoblade is that it kind of felt too much like an MMO in all the bad ways.
Yeah.
Like a lot of rubbish side quests that were just like MMO-y fetch quests and stuff. And this has me a little worried that Xenoblade's going to go a little further in that direction. Maybe even to the point where there's a lot less emphasis on, you know, a traditional JRPG storyline, which Xenoblade still had. The first one still had, but it was kind of stretched out over this very long game that had a lot of like filler crap in it. And this worries me a little bit because you see the footage of this game and it's so beautiful. These environments are so huge, so beautiful. When you're in a mech flying around, it's fucking incredible. Like there's this part where he jumps off this cliff, and which is crazy because you could do that in Xenoblade, except here it just looks so much larger, which that stuff looks great, but all the other like kind of elements of the story and characters that they've shown have looked kind of budget, like MMO level of budget. So I'm a little worried. I'm glad the online stuff is there, but I hope that isn't a sign that this is going to be, you know, not the game I want it to be, because the first Xenoblade kind of wasn't. So I have my fingers crossed, and I'm definitely going to be getting it when it comes out, and I hope to see you online, guys.
Someone in chat just said Nolan's crotch has that ambient lighting.
Do it for the community.
Crispy.
Okay, so
Brad's looking at Nolan's crotch. Sorry.
Everyone's a little bit curious.
anyway,
Oh.
I have two little half of stories that I'm gonna stitch together into one Franken story. The first one being that apparently there have been words over the last week about the inclusion of shields in Bloodborne.
Yep.
So Bloodborne.
This is apparently a
There's
big
been
deal.
worry.
No, there's been word.
Oh,
on the
word.
streets.
Yes,
Their
word
shields.
in the street. In fact, Masaki Yamagiwa, a producer at Sony's Japan studio,
of course.
was talking about it, saying that there will be shields, which is kind of more in line with like the way Dark Souls works, which they haven't really shown in any of their trailers yet. But they also say that the shields are going to suck, and that if you rely on them like you do in Dark Souls, you will die.
Nice.
So we'll see. And then the other story is actually within the last week, there have been some more details about what is different in the re-release of Dark Souls 2, the Scholar of the First Sin, and some of the major like gameplay changes between the original release and Scholar of the First Sin is going to be they're changing how they do soul memory, which basically soul memory, if you're not familiar with Dark Souls, is kind of like a running tally of how many like souls you have collected and spent, and that determines with whom you can that determines who you can connect with in the online mode. So they're kind of opening that up a little bit. They're not getting rid of it completely, but they're opening it up a little bit so that it's easier for like
the range
friends.
is a little wider,
right? So it's easier for, and I think they're also I don't know, they weren't specific about how they're changing it, but I think they're also changing how they calculate it.
Okay, so
that like friends can be. It's a lot easier for like friends to join up together to do PvP or co-op.
Yeah.
So that's nice. That's something that people have been talking about since like the first Dark Souls.
Definitely, because I ran into issues with that even in 2, because Sci-Fi Chick wanted to play with me, but I couldn't. I kept dropping my sign, but I guess our soul levels are too far apart that we couldn't connect to each other.
Another big multiplayer related issue is that they've actually upped the amount of players that you can have in your game from 3 to I think now it's 6.
What? Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
So you can that includes like.
Why would you even need that many people?
Well, you can do up to like I think you can do up to 4 people co-op, and then there can be at least an additional 2. Like PvP. Invaders, so you could have like 3 versus 3, like co-op versus invaders kind of thing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. They're kind of expanding on what they already expanded on from Dark Souls 1 to 2 with PvP. And then other little things, like they've added new characters called the Forlorn, which are going to be like these like NPC invasion type characters that are apparently going to be a huge pain in the dick. Going to be kind of like
weren't before.
Yeah, going to be kind of like hunting you through the game, but apparently there are really good rewards for wanting to kill them. So
but they
I don't know, we'll see how that
those.
works. No, but this is like going to be a recurring thing. That can like it's not based to like a certain area of the game where when you walk through this door there's going to be an invasion. It's like these things like happen from what I understand.
Oh my Bless you.
Bless you.
And also they add like the I guess there's more story. They're going to expound upon the story a bit more with the inclusion of this character called the Scholar of the First Sin, who's going to kind of update like backstory for you.
This sounds like it's sounding more and more like it's going to be a really worthwhile.
It's like they're looking at it more as like a remix, quote unquote, than an actual just like re-release. They even changed like enemy placement. They said that they've changed how AI is going to work. It's going to be a little smarter. They've also changed like aggro, so enemies like will chase you longer. So before certain areas where you could just kind of like run past enemies and be pretty much okay, they're going to pursue you a little longer, and all the areas basically in the game where you like had remembered as being like safe locations now might have enemies in them. Areas that were dangerous before might not be.
So what you're saying is my strategy guide might not be as useful.
No, your strategy guide is probably going to be completely useless.
Thanks, Crispy.
That would be enough, just to do kind of like make a new game plus where, or what were they called for like Zelda, like the second campaign.
Oh, like.
The Master
Quest or no.
They should do like
Master Quest.
They should do like a Dark Souls Master Quest where just like all the enemy layouts are completely different.
It kind of sounds like that's what this is.
Because that makes it a different game.
Yeah. I mean, this
maybe even rearrange like the difficulties of the areas based on what's in them.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can kind of go through the game in a different order,
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like if you're a fan of Dark Souls 2, there is a pretty good reason to like want to get the new version. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm pretty excited now. Like I thought I was just gonna be getting like a graphic update.
Oh, I wish I had time. That's something I would definitely want to play,
Yeah.
but it's just like oh.
All right, I have a quick news topic. This is tied to the news that Sega is going to be downplaying a lot of their console development, shifting their focus more towards mobile. And did they say mobile and handheld, or was it predominantly just moving towards mobile? I can't remember. But I was bringing it up specifically because I'm not sure. I'm personally very scared about what this might mean for Creative Assembly and Alien Isolation, because they've already been in talks about making a sequel to that game. Mm-hmm. And if you have been paying attention, I love that game. I think it deserves at least one more go round. Yeah. And the fact that Sega is once again
fucked
or fucking themselves,
not
or
fucked, just
they're shifting things around in ways that you
They
know,
realize where the money is.
they realize where the money is, but like the fans are obviously like a lot of their core fans are going to be very upset by this.
Of course, Sega fans.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, they exist.
There are dozens of them.
They exist. They're just
Dozens.
they're weirdies.
I wouldn't consider myself a core Sega fan, but I'm definitely a fan of Alien Isolation. And Sega, at least last time I checked, Sega is the one who exclusively holds the rights to publish games with Alien in the title. I'm asking.
Well, I mean, that
I
stuff
don't
doesn't
know.
last forever. Who knows?
I think they have. I mean, I think as of right now they have the rights. And Creative Assembly, aren't they owned? Are they owned by Sega? I've only seen them develop games for Sega specifically. So it just kind of calls into question.
Creative Assembly is owned by Sega. Yes.
Yeah, so like there was a list out there of like developers that are probably going to be affected by this, and I think the Creative Assembly was not on that list.
No.
Which is promising.
So the outside of PC and mobile, that's their focus.
Mm-hmm.
PC and mobile, and when they say PC, they mean Creative Assembly and Relic, and they're going to do their. I mean, those were purchases by Sega. That is very non-Sega. But Sega has always just kind of let them do their thing, and I'm pretty sure that's not going to change much.
Yeah.
But that might just mean Creative Assembly goes back to doing Total War games, and they do that till the end of time. You know, who knows how.
I don't know. That's frightening for me because they fucking knocked it out of the park for me with Alien. I desperately want a sequel to that game, and Sega's just making that tough.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the community. That's all we got for news this week. We're gonna be doing community a little bit differently going forward.
This is like the community is just like exploded. Our community just exploded all over us.
It's the community.
Exactly. It's
The new community.
Thank you, Brad. There's a lot more in the community now that our Patreon has started. We now have a reliable source of questions and things we got to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Basically, anybody who pledges to our Patreon campaign, no matter how small, whether it's $1 or $50 or whatever, anywhere in between,
You can go higher than 50.
if you want. But anyone who pledges any amount of money to our Patreon is eligible to submit questions that we will answer during the community segment.
Correct.
We're going to do about 1 to 2 questions a week just to make sure we stay within our time constraints here. But we have a few questions this week.
Yeah, well, first of all, I wanted to thank a few people.
This is funny because, you know, the baseline benefit for pledging is like, well, thank you personally on the podcast, which is great. Except this is the first week, and we have 60...
First week after we started our Patreon, so there's a little over 60-something people. We're not going to thank everybody at once. We're going to do about 10 a show until we knock everything down.
Yeah,
And-
but remember that if you make it onto the first episode, if you're in the first 10, you're better than all the other ones.
If you're in the first 10, that means you're the first 10 alphabetically.
Oh, I thought they were the first 10 by donators.
No.
Damn it.
I don't know if I have that stat. Oh, I actually do. Should I sort it by first 10 donators?
Who was the first donator? Nick's mom?
I mean,
I don't know.
What?
I can sort it by that. Give me a second.
No, actually, the first donator, I know the answer to this, was Skyliner.
Yeah, it was.
First pledge.
And then,
Skyliner's the best.
and then second, I think, was MGS.
I don't know. Who's keeping track?
Apparently we are. All right, so I guess I will go by the first 10. So the first 10 donators.
We could try and guess their last names like we do with the Chatter of the
You
Week.
can if you want to.
That's going to take forever.
So
Are you going to be able to sort this again later?
It's already, yeah.
Okay.
It's already done. It's fine. I mean, that's honestly the easiest way to sort it because then I don't have to do. If I do alphabetically, things are going to be inserted in other areas, which you never want unexpectedly.
Whoa,
So,
I see what you did there.
so if I do it out by submission or whatever, it's fine. So Elizabeth,
Yeah.
Jimmy, Frank H.
Wait, I thought we were going alphabetically.
No, we're doing by donation date.
Oh.
These are our first 10 donators.
Oh.
Chronologically.
Yes.
I'm dumb. I'm so dumb.
He is a little dumb.
What is dumb?
All right, Frank H., Timothy, Alexander,
There's a lot of Alexanders on
yeah,
it.
Orsi,
Wait, Orsi?
Orsy,
O-R...
Orsi,
You talking about
Orsi,
Orsai. Orsi.
Orsi.
Orsai.
Orsi.
Orsi.
This next one,
I knew it's gonna get that. It's gonna happen eventually.
Pasu, Pasue,
Pasway.
Pasway.
Pasway,
Pasu.
Pas.
Pasu. Let's say
You know,
Pasu.
we should probably for the show.
No, that's the fun part. That's the fun part. We're doing it live.
Pursue.
Fuck it.
Danielle. That one's easy. X Phenomenal 1.
That is not a real name.
What?
That
That is not a real name.
It's pronounced the phenomenal. The phenomenal.
Oh, there you go. The Phenomenal.
No.
He's like, no, it's on my birth
The
certificate.
Phenomenal 1. And Nicholas S.
Nicholas. That's you.
And so those are our first 10 patrons. We appreciate you all. Not saying anyone's better than anyone else. Those are just the first 10.
Those are the
Those
first
are
10.
just the best.
So we thank you guys very much. Like we said, we're going to be playing catch up because obviously we got a lot. It was very front loaded. A lot of people pledging very quickly. So we're going to, next week, we'll thank 10 more and till we catch up.
Eventually we'll catch up.
Eventually we'll catch up.
Timothy must be Corvus.
Exactly.
I know. I think I know the Timothy it is.
Probably.
Oliphant.
Yes. Timothy Oliphant.
Timothy
He's
Oliphant.
my favorite, Timothy.
The live action hitman.
Oh, why'd you have to bring that up? It's the
Have
worst
you
role.
ever seen Meet Bill?
No.
That is Have you seen Meet Bill? That is an excellent movie.
Have you ever seen Deadwood?
That's not a movie. That's a TV
It's a
show.
good Timothy
and that is a
Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant one. This one's with Aaron Eckhart, and like he's married to Elizabeth Banks, and like it's kind of he's like going through a midlife crisis, and Jessica Alba is in it, I think.
We were just kidding, X Phenomenal 1. You don't have to put your real name. We're just giving you shit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And then Timothy
I bet it's Mr. Penis.
Timothy Oliphant is like a news like anchor. And like I don't know, it's a good movie. And there's just one scene where Aaron Eckhart's like on top of Timothy Oliphant in a lawn, like apologize. It's really good movie. Anyway,
You've sold me. You've sold me, no.
moving on. It's time for chat of the week. Yeah. Or should I do community questions or chat of the week? Which one should I do first? This is going to pave the way.
Let's do the community questions.
Community questions?
first.
All right.
These are questions directly from
Community
our Patreon
questions
activity
are
feed.
first.
Now, while you're pulling that up, I do want to stress every single week before the podcast, usually about a day before, I'll post a post. There'll be a little image up there. It says ask us questions. Leave a comment there with your question. It can be video game related. It can be random. So you're a patron. You can choose the question. We will go through it. We'll pick about two questions, maybe 3, depending on how long or short they are, and we'll answer them during the community segment. So, Nolan, take it away.
So the thing I'm probably gonna start doing is I'm gonna have to go and like copy those down because I was just pulling it up on my
Patreon.
browser.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is like anytime I navigate away from it and go back, it like reloads the page.
Oh.
That's so fucking silly.
So
why,
silly.
Like why do you do that? Anyway, moving on. First question. In regard to our Twitch stream on the live page, are we going to find a way to implement the theater option like Twitch has? Current like widescreen option isn't the best. So we'd love to. We'd love to do that.
We'd love to. Next question.
It's not as simple as just doing it.
No.
Twitch doesn't give us the support to just do that. Most likely because they do want to drive traffic to their site, so they don't let other people have the same functionalities. We're trying to do stuff.
We're trying to do something similar. We're looking into it.
Yeah.
We
feel you.
We feel you, and we're constantly prioritizing updates and upgrades and things we want to implement, and we're trying to categorize them into what can happen now and what can happen to the next like big update or big push.
What if we
to the website.
surround the window with like lewd animated GIFs? That each day they cycled in new ones.
That's doable.
Also,
I'm not going to do it
be
though.
hell on the load time of the screen.
That's true.
But worth it.
It might be. And
People will be waiting with bated breath.
We're going to do 3 questions today because this next one's also a quick one. Do you guys plan on doing any more community nights in Austin?
Oh, you should probably say who asked, just their first name.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the first one that asked about the Twitch stream was Otto. And this one is from Jason B. Any more community nights in Austin?
I will say this: if we know we have the,
I don't know if we know enough people locally.
so we don't have enough people. We don't know how many people we actually have locally. Which
So
is weird.
that's something I was going to say. Maybe we can put it out there and be like, who would come to one, and maybe see if there's enough people that maybe we don't do it as often as we used to. We used to do it every other week. Mm-hmm. Maybe do it less frequently. Maybe every other month.
I don't even know if calling it like a community meetup would be the best. It really just depends on how many people we have. I know there are a few things we want to do locally to like kind of promote ourselves around Austin, and maybe that could bring in new people that we would be wanting to meet.
So
but,
I mean, I think the old like community nights were probably the best thing that happened to 4Player, because that's
how we met you, Nolan.
That's how
if I
everyone
recall.
met me. Yeah, I met you at one of
That's
those.
the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yep. And we were
Changed our life.
hanging out at Applebee's, and Nick was like, "Hey, do you want to come broadcast?" And I was like, "That sounds swell."
Is that really what I did?
Yeah. Then we went over to Brad's house and we casted.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Look at that. I had
What did you play?
I can't remember.
Oh my god. Fucking
Bernadette probably remembers.
What was the first game you broadcasted,
Bernadette's in
Crispy?
chat, and she probably remembers
I feel
what
like it was like Gunpoint.
Nope, Batman.
I don't know why this is related, but I thought of this a long time ago broadcasting at David's. We had a bunch of people over. I think Brad may have been there. I can't remember. We were playing Resident Evil 0. This is totally unrelated. I'm sorry, but like one of our friends was playing, and we were like, he's like, I don't know what to do, and he's like, you got to hit that orange button, and he was like, what orange button? And I was like, the orange button. It was like a dark room, and it was like one like brightly lit orange button. And he was like, hit the orange button. He's like, there is no orange button. There's a green button, and we're like, what? And that's how he learned he was colorblind. That happened.
Was he 5?
You can go a long time without knowing you're colorblind.
Man, it was
Brad.
great.
You'd be surprised, because it's not colorblind. People don't see in black and white; they just see colors differently.
No, I know, but
we were laughing for hours.
oh, that's
I didn't mean
horrible.
boo. He was laughing with us.
Well, now he can't join the military.
I don't even think we were broadcasting that, but that would have been great.
All right, moving on. Our last question for the night is from Marcus T. I've been watching you guys. Oh wait, nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry, Marcus. I love you. You're out. It's from John C.
Marcus T's question was bad.
No, it's fine. He was asking if we'd ever imagined us doing this so long.
Oh,
Dude, I have no fucking
Probably
idea.
no.
probably
The
not.
answer is
Because
no.
I remember the time David was I was working at GameStop with David, and he was like, "Hey, do you know what a podcast is?" And I was like, "Nope, not really." And then that's the last thing I remember, and now here I am.
All right, so this is the actual last question from John C.
John C. Riley?
Yes, John C. Riley wrote in.
McGinn?
He is a Patreon. Oddly enough, he only donates $1. Come on, John C. Riley. You can do better than that.
Sure, he's swimming in the big bucks.
No,
He's got
that's
that walk.
not this person.
I know.
He's got that walk.
So anyway, this John C. Writes in, which of the two giants does 4Player like more? Marvel
Brad
or
or-
DC? Including the film franchises, television shows, comics, and obviously video games.
Let's try and keep our wits about us when answering this question.
Okay. So Marvel's like DC with complex characters.
I was waiting for that.
We shouldn't have asked this question.
So I'll be first and say I've always been a bigger Marvel fan than DC.
Don't just resist.
What? No. What?
Yeah,
What?
he's fine.
I'm fine.
He's fine. Growing up, I was never big into comics, so I watched a lot of X-Men and Spider-Man. That being said, I did watch the Batman animated series, which is probably one of my favorite cartoon shows. But I just find overall I like a lot of the Marvel characters better, including some of the more recent films as well. That being said, my favorite superhero of all time is The Flash.
Oh.
From who is
Oh,
DC?
really?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know you as
back
well as
in
I thought,
Flash.
Nolan.
Yeah, well, it's just, especially it really cemented it.
We lived together for so long. How could you have not told me this?
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it
so-
cemented it with that one comic panel that
like
was
the-
like the Flash and Superman racing, and and Superman's like, "I've beaten you before, Flash," and he was like, "Those were for charity, Clark," and he just fucking flies. He's just gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, the fucking Flash."
Well, see,
So cool.
Are the DC shows exclusively better because of it's a bunch of hunky guys taking their shirts off? Is that the main reason the DC shows are better than the Marvel shows?
Wait, what shows are you
He's talking about like
about?
Arrow
Oh.
with what's his face? Can't remember his name.
Stephen Amell.
That one.
ML.
Crispy knows it. Taking his shirt off and doing some salmon ladder.
Yeah. That's like a big meme.
That's a damn good
Brad,
show, by the way.
I would watch you with your shirt off if you could do one rung on a salmon ladder.
Well, I can eat salmon.
On a ladder. So Brad's just
On a
gonna
ladder.
be like eating fucking salmon on a ladder. There you go. Taking his shirt off, like, salmon.
Board game.
Dude,
Nick?
Arrow's getting good. Sorry. Oh man, I don't have an answer. I don't know. I tend to lean towards
Daredevil or The Flash?
I tend to lean towards DC characters that I like more. I'm a big fan of Batman, big fan of Superman, and I'm starting to like Daredevil a lot more. But there are more quality like films and shows and products out there that I think are revolving more around the Marvel world, obviously. But man, I'm fucking excited for that Netflix Daredevil show. Just saying, I'm just putting that out there.
Like you're a big fan of that Daredevil movie?
No.
I meant Daredevil, Deadpool. That's what I meant to say.
That was Marvel.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, like Captain America, Winter Soldier was great. I didn't like Captain America honestly until I saw Winter Soldier. So. I know Crispy is raising his eyebrows, rolling his eyes, the back of his head.
The first Captain America movie was not top notch whatsoever.
That was awesome.
I didn't start liking Captain America until Marvel vs. Capcom.
You should read Winter Soldier. Like that's an amazing.
I'll
tell you, amazing story.
I will preface this right now. It's like I've tried getting into reading comics and it just they don't stick.
In high school, I used to go to Barnes and Noble.
It's just not my bag.
Just read the comics.
Do they have any comics with only pictures?
Yeah, sure.
Like, do they like playing charades though?
Actually, there was an issue of Hawkeye that's all from his dog's point of view. So he doesn't understand any like English.
So
he just catches like random words here and there.
Yeah.
So it's all visual storytelling.
Is that like is that like the Boyhood of comic books?
No, dude. I'm not talking to Brad about this.
Okay,
but I think it wouldn't be much of a surprise if I told people that I like DC a little bit more. But to me, it's not a huge divide between Marvel and DC. When I was getting into the idea of like superheroes and I was watching like Spider-Man and X-Men on TV, like that was all Marvel stuff. That's how I got into comics, was reading Marvel. When I started getting a little more into like going to the comic book shop every week and buying stories, I just kind of ended up drifting towards DC. I really like DC stories.
That's why I got you that Batman comic for Christmas.
That was a good comic. That was really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. They're different. I will say that there are things that Marvel does a lot better. Especially recently, it seems like DC is just kind of like stupid. Like they do a lot of really dumb things.
Shows or comics?
No, like in the comics particularly. Not just like some of their story arcs are getting like just really, really convoluted.
And they're retconning.
And they're retconning stuff like over and over. Like DC's getting to this point where they're like destroying and renumbering their universe like every few years, and it's getting a little ridiculous. But they're also doing like really weird things with like how they treat their female characters, like just a lot of stuff that like I think Marvel has an edge on how to move forward a little better.
Marvel has
can I
an
amend
edge,
my answer?
DC has Batman.
Marvel also has Dexter in comic book form.
Marvel is publishing a Dexter series, yes.
Although it is based off of the books, which I mostly consider to be awful. But hey, what can I say?
I mean,
I like Marvel more.
The reason why I like DC a little bit better is because a lot of the Marvel universe was kind of based around stuff that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko did. And Stan Lee loves to use science as magic, but admittedly has a willful like ignorance of what science actually is. So he'll just throw words at a wall like gamma rays, I don't care. You know? So like the sci-fi aspects of it are kind of weaker.
Yeah, that's true.
In DC, like you had people like Alan Moore Steve Ditko did do DC work back in the day too. But like people who were like taking these really weird concepts that were coming out of like pop science like in the 70s and the 80s and actually trying to like make stories around them. So you get like these super just like really obtuse ideas and really obtuse characters. You have like on one side you have Marvel has like Ant-Man, who his power is he shrinks down to the size of an ant and controls ants and can grow kind of big. And then the DC counterpart is the Atom, who literally like lives in a subatomic universe and like travels around by like traveling through phone lines, like at the size of an electron. Like, you know, it's more interesting.
Cool. That one sounds cooler.
Yeah, it's more interesting, like some of that stuff, and like the cosmic stories tend to be a little more interesting in DC, in my opinion.
All right,
before
all that Green Lantern.
very.
But hot damn, can Marvel make a good movie?
That is true.
That's true.
And they can also make an awful one. But
yeah,
they can. When they're good, they're really good. All right, so
Silver Surfer could probably beat up the Green Lantern.
Oh my god.
Moving on. Thanks for posting those questions. Next week, Nick is going to post another like kind of What would you call
It's a post on the activity feed over at patreon.com/4player.
Yep.
Anyone who contributes any amount of money, whether it's $1 or higher or whatever, can send us questions to the activity feed, and we'll answer them during the podcast. So we'll do this again every week, right before Chat of the Week. But now it is time for Chat of the Week.
Woo! This is everyone's favorite part of the show.
This is the
part of the show where we pit two chatters against each other in an all-out brawl of chatterness, and how much
chat.
No, I'm not even going to say it this week. I can't. I can't. All right, so first up, we have Sam from St. Pete Beach, Florida. Do you know where
St. Pete Beach?
St. Pete Beach is?
St. Petersburg.
Oh. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, it's right across the bay from Tampa.
Oh, there you go. Now I kind of still don't know where that is.
That's
in Florida. Summer of Sam in chat. He says, I'm a guy and I'm 26 and I've been listening to you guys since 2008. I don't chat much, but I'm always present.
He's lurking.
He's always creeping. He says his shameful secret was when I got my friend's Xbox 360 banned for modding Call of Duty. Needless to say, he was pretty pissed at me. I eventually bought him a new Xbox and paid for a year of Xbox Live to make up for it.
Wow.
That was very nice of him.
Good friend.
Yeah. He's a bad friend and a good friend. Sam's greatest gaming achievement was when I beat Bioshock Infinite on 1999 mode without upgrading any weapons or vigors. I know this is nothing compared to some achievements, but I'm pretty proud of this.
That's the hardest mode, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Once was enough.
I played it on normal.
Yeah. That's the same for me. Most
Maybe
games,
on hard, I don't remember.
Most games, normal's enough.
Sam's top 5 games of all time. Number 5, Resident Evil.
I'm gonna go with probably 4.
4.
Yeah.
Although if he was more of a traditional fan of Resident Evil, probably say 2 or remake.
I would say
Well, you only have one vote, Nick, not 3.
I'm gonna go with remake. You know what?
Those
Remake.
are the 3 acceptable choices.
Yes, I agree. Resident Evil Remake.
Oh.
Woo! His number 4 game of all time is Final Fantasy
9.
7.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 9. I'm feeling 9.
10.
Damn.
It's a good one too.
All wrong. Number 3, Silent Hill.
2.
It's always 2.
3,
Oh.
Breaking the Mold.
You know, I'm actually kind of excited to go back and play that one. Like I'm playing 2. I'm about to start 2 this weekend for my Let's Play, but I'm pretty excited about playing 3 because that's the one I probably remember the least of.
His number 2 game of all time is Bioshock
Infinite.
I'm gonna go with Infinite.
I'm going to go with Bioshock.
You already said Infinite. Why are you like changing your stuff around?
Because no one likes Infinite. that much.
Bioshock. Man, Sam's all over the place. And his number 1 game of all time is The Legend of Zelda.
Ocarina of Time, baby. Ocarina of Time.
I'm going to go with Wind Waker.
Link to the Past.
Remix remake. They had a GameCube.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
That fucker.
And this week, Sam is up against Nathan Armstrong.
Oh, shit.
Chat name Farun1. He's a male, he's 24, and he's from Ontario, Canada.
Oh, hello, Nathan.
We have a lot more like Canadian listeners than I think.
I know.
Canadian people are really nice.
They're quite nice.
No, like when I was on my like trip in Europe, there was a lot of
articulate.
Canadians on there. Some of the nicest people were like from Canada. And I was like, "Wow, you're from Canada?"
Surprisingly articulate, huh, Nolan?
What does that mean? Well, one of them was from Montreal, and so he had a very thick French accent. And according to him, French Canada was the best Canada. But anyway, moving on. Nathan's shameful secret: beating a partially blind friend of mine in GoldenEye 64.
Oh.
Says he was blind in his
That
left.
sentence took me all over the place.
Yeah, when I first read it, it did too. I had to read it a couple times. He's blind in the left eye with blurred vision in his right eye. He says, my friend assured me that he was a champ at the game, and I don't want to make it look like I wasn't trying. And so he beat him. So the next day at school, he completely ignored and continued to avoid me throughout the week, till he called out of the blue to come over and play games. We were playing games, and it was fine until I stopped to go to the bathroom, and upon returning, my friend was gone. And also my copy of GoldenEye 64 was missing from my N64. My friend denied ever taking it to this day.
So he got bitter and he stole it, is what you said.
Apparently.
How did he find it?
He's partially blind,
Sorry.
Brad. Partially blind. Nathan's greatest gaming achievement is defeating Diablo on Hell difficulty solo with no followers minions. Brad, what does that mean?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say it again.
Defeating Diablo on Hell difficulty solo with no followers or minions.
I mean, just means he beat it on the hardest difficulty. So
What are followers and minions? in
followers are
Diablo?
like NPCs that you can use to replace other players.
Okay, cool. I mean, I never played
And
Diablo.
minions would
So
be
I
like
think what he's saying is he didn't die.
He also did on the difficulty, the highest difficulty. Anyway, Nathan's top 5 games of all time. Number 5, Titan.
Fall.
Souls. I wish.
Oh no! I'm gonna go with
attack.
what's that Diablo knockoff?
I'm gonna go with Titanfall.
Titan
I'm
Uranus.
blanking. Titan.
Titanfall.
Titanfall.
Damn it.
And he says he feels bad putting a game from this year on his list, but with over 600 hours put into it, I think I'm obligated.
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot of hours.
Many hours.
You know, I have an Xbox One. Maybe I should eventually play that.
Maybe. Nathan's number 4 game of all time is Command and Conquer.
Red Alert.
Red Alert. Tiberian War.
It's probably Red Alert.
Command and Conquer Generals.
Oh man,
Chris Davis is excited. His number 3 game of all time is Baldur's Gate.
Titan Quest.
Yep, that's a game. Yes, Baldur's Gate Titan Quest.
2. Throne of Ball.
Thunderball?
Throne of Ball.
Oh, is it Thunderball? A subtitle of
Throne
Baldur's
of
Gate?
Bell.
Anyone else? Baldur's
Mediocre
Gate.
Bond movies?
Baldur's Gate 2.
2. Shadows of Man.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 2, Shadow of Am.
I totally guessed.
The number 2 game of all time is
Overall,
Diablo
2.
Lords of Destruction.
2. And Nathan's number 1 game of all time
GoldenEye.
is Deus Ex.
Human
I'm
Revolution.
gonna go with Deus Ex.
Deus Ex.
Human Revolution is a fine game, but I don't think it's anybody's favorite game of all time.
Oh, it's one of those games, huh,
It's
Brad?
one of those.
It's one of those
I'm gonna
games.
agree. I'm gonna agree with Brad that Deus Ex: Human Revolution, while a fantastic game,
What if that's the only Deus Ex I've ever played?
well,
Which,
then,
in this case, it is.
is it the only game you've ever played?
No. Is that the only way it could ever possibly be on someone's top 10 list? I
Well,
love that game.
And so did I, but it's not in my top 10.
It could be in mine, though.
I'm not arguing it can't. I'm just
Do you
saying
wanna take this outside, Noah?
top like your favorite game of all time.
I don't know.
Deus Ex, the original, frequently pops up on people's lists of
Yes.
best games ever made.
But Human Revolution, while I said
Never
is a
has.
fantastic game, in my opinion, is not
I'm
top
sorry.
game
It
material.
just bugs me when Brad assumes that a game
It
can't
was
be
my
in someone's top
favorite
10.
game of that year, I believe.
Anyway, yeah, I think it was probably on my top 10 list of that year too.
That can't be on your top 10 games. of the year.
Anyway, moving on. We have Sam, who shameful secret was he got his friend's Call of Duty, his Xbox blocked, banned, beat BioShock on the hardest mode, and his top 5 were Resident Evil Remake, Final Fantasy X, Silent Hill 3, BioShock, and Ocarina of Time. Up against Nathan, who beat up his blind friend, defeated Diablo on Hell
And
difficulty.
GoldenEye.
Yeah, and his top 5 games were Titanfall, Command and Conquer, Generals, Baldur's Gate 2, Diablo 2, and Deus Ex.
I'm going to give it to Summer of Sam because his list is I'd say most of the games on his top 5 list are probably somewhere in my top 10 to 20.
Those are all some good games.
Saying defeating Diablo on Hell difficulty, I'd say that
That was Nathan that did that.
Nathan isn't really all that. It makes me wonder if he even played the expansion, because Diablo wasn't even the final boss of Diablo 2, and
You belittling his achievement.
yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Nathan though.
All right, Nathan.
I like Diablo.
Summer of Sam, was he the one from St. Pete?
Correct.
Yep.
Just make
Florida
it
man.
hammered in.
Florida man.
Well, congratulations, Sam. You are this week's Chatter of the Week. Woo!
But he lives in Florida.
He does live in Florida.
still
So
he still
loses.
If you would like to be Chatter of the Week, all you have to do is send an email to any friend. Just send them an email and be like, hey, you're my buddy. And then once you're done with that, go to our new website, 4playernetwork.com. You will see a link for Chatter of the Week.
It's a button, actually.
It's a big button. It's a pretty decent sized button. Could be a little bigger. It says Chatter of the Week on it. All you got to do is click on that, and you can just fill out a form, and you'll be entered in Chatter of the Week.
It's literally easier than it's ever been before.
It's pretty easy.
Pretty damn simple.
There's probably quite a few emails out there that are lost because someone spelled my name with an E.
Nolan,
Brad,
did you take my phone?
I've been doing Chatter of the Week. When could I have taken your phone?
Oh my god, I know where it is.
What was it?
It was tucked into your fucking...
was rolled up and it was stuck in.
Oh, I
in
put
the
it there.
folder.
Damn it!
Anyway, so last thing before we close out our community section for podcast 398 is we have forums.
New forums. Brand new shiny forums.
They are very much nice. Better than the old one. And our community is pretty active. We've all been decently active in the communities.
It is getting there.
Yeah, and we'd like you to be active too. So every week we're going to highlight a new thread, which is something maybe you should go look at. It could be an ongoing thread or some new thread that's popped up in the past week. But this week we are going to be highlighting the official Lewd Thread 2015.
No one is going to be highlighting.
It is one of our most active threads with one of the highest view counts. Believe it or not.
Not the most active thread, highest view count.
That's what I said. It's one of the most active, and it has the highest view
Very
count.
lurky.
Yeah.
So if someone could post a link in chat, it's a good thread.
To the lewd thread?
To the lewd thread. If you want to post in the lewd thread, just go to 4playernetwork.com, click on the forum link, create a new account. It's that simple, and you too can post your lewds in the thread and talk about video games.
So thank you to Toast for starting that thread.
What? Toast.
I don't know if there's any official rules. We're equal opportunity, so post whatever you like, but no naughty bits, please. I think that's the cutoff.
Yeah,
If
we draw the line.
It's
at
a
nudity.
lewd thread, not a nude thread.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lewd.
Not a nude thread, a lewd thread.
But we invite each and every one of you to join the forums. It's very simple.
No buttholes, please.
No. And we will be, like Nolan said, we'll be highlighting a thread each week during the community segment. And you may notice on the front page of 4playernetwork.com, every day we're highlighting a new forum thread as well. A giant banner across the top. You can't miss it. I'm picking them at random, so go start a thread. Maybe yours will get picked. And we're trying to encourage conversation. So it's very simple. It's free. Go do it. And of course, while you're at the website, please bookmark us. We'd really appreciate it. And I think it's that time to wrap up.
Woo!
4-player minute. And I think we agreed before the podcast, because we knew this was going to be a very long show.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it at a minute. Can you do that, Brad? Can you do that?
Yeah, starting now. My hype is for my new 3DS. I'm not getting one. I ordered a Circle Pad Pro. Fuck it. My sweat is basically the coming months where Nintendo's potentially going to announce a game for the new 3DS that I'm not going to be able to play. And I'm going to freak out like a chimpanzee if it happens. The next Final Fantasy Tactics, exclusive to new 3DS. My thank you goes to Kenton and Chai Tai. They recently gifted me a couple of cool indie games that I'm going to be playing this week. One was Darkest Dungeon. I talked about it. My fuck you goes to Square Enix. You know why? Because fuck you. Where the hell is a proper front mission game? You make a front mission game, you put it in the Valkyria Chronicles engine, and oh my fucking god, dude. It makes me so angry just thinking about that goddamn series. And fuck that stupid shit-ass studio that made Silent Hill Homecoming, that made the fucking worst front mission piece of shit shooter in the world.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Fuck you, Square Enix. What was it? What, Double Helix?
Double Helix.
Fuck that company.
If you had said any other game in the Silent Hill franchise, I would have stood up right here and slapped you across the face. But you said Homecoming.
And fuck Strider from last year, too, because they made that, and that game was boring.
Oh, they're saying Strider from Lord of the Rings.
That's all.
All right,
Tell us how you really feel, Brad.
My 4-player minute starts now. My fuck you for the week goes to Sony for their fucking Vita memory cards. Those are ridiculously fucking overpriced. I don't care how much you can buy it for. MSRP on a 32 gigabyte memory card should not be $100.
Oh, shut this! Not still $100.
It's the MSRP. It's $100. Okay. That's not what most people are selling them for. Like 32 gigs or like 80 or something like that.
Oh my
like
god,
85.
that's still way too much.
Right? I paid $60 for my PlayStation TV. A fucking 32 gig memory card is more expensive than the console. That is ridiculous. I hate it. You can't even hack it for external memory. You have to use a Vita memory card. That is so fucking dumb. My next fuck you for the week goes to the United States Postal Service because MGS tried to mail me a memory card with some Vita games and they got lost in the mail. So fuck that. My next fuck you for the week goes to
MGS.
Rocks.
Rocks?
Fucking rocks, because I'm driving to work this morning just listening to some fucking Uptown Funk, and out of fucking nowhere, a giant rock hits my windshield and puts a big old crack in it.
Yay!
You not be listening to the funk. You can't handle the funk.
Can't handle.
Not
Nolan's
that
car
funk, the
can't
other
handle the funk.
Yeah,
Apparently.
so I'm sad. 36,949 miles, and then big old rock. I mean, it's like the size of a dime. It's
super glue.
Well, I'm gonna. I think my insurance might cover it. I'm definitely gonna get it filled though, so it doesn't get any bigger. The thing, it's in the middle of my windshield.
Oh,
It's not like it's off to the
no.
side or
I don't
something
even.
like
You
that.
might not be able to pass inspection with that.
Well, if I get it filled, it'd be fine.
Fuck rocks.
Anyway, moving on, and then my hype for the week goes to Persona 5. I'm very excited for that game after watching that trailer several times, and then just getting super excited for it. I'm actually going to replay Persona 3, and then probably for the first time ever play Persona 4, because I've never played that. But
Played that on the Vita TV.
yeah, that was the plan.
Oh,
If no one's gonna play Persona 4, I need to get on it.
that's the best place to play it.
And that's what everyone tells me. So that's what I plan on doing. Everyone was telling me to play Persona 3 on the Vita TV,
Brad,
but
I'm gonna play Persona 4 on Saturday on the feed.
there you go. I don't own Persona 3 for the Vita, and I already own a digital copy on my PS3, so I'm just going to play that just because it's cheaper.
Did you try saying
MGS is trying to get my attention.
Oh.
What? Crispy, your 4-player minute?
Okay, so I'm doing 3 hypes and a sweat. My first hype is for
Please don't send it
Besiege,
UPS.
because what?
No, I was talking to MGS. He said he's going to send me Persona 4. Just don't send it via the postal office. Please.
Besiege. It's a lot of fun.
Besiege.
I hope it evolves into like a
It has a lot of
full,
potential.
like really fun, crazy game. We'll see. My other hype is for Bloodborne, obviously. My other hype after that is for Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, because it actually seems like it's going to be worthwhile investing, especially since I don't already have the DLC. So I'm definitely going to be playing that. Can't wait. And then my sweat for this week goes to Jonathan Blow / The Witness, because apparently in a new interview, he was talking about how he's already blown through all of his braid money.
What?
And he's
guess
actually
I can see
borrowing.
that.
He's borrowing to finish The Witness. So he's kind of taking a financial risk on this one. So I hope it works out.
It'll be
he also
hyped
said
on.
that it's like 10 times longer than Braid was, and even he like speedrunning.
Didn't he say 10 times bigger than Braid, which made me go, Braid wasn't very big.
No, 10 times longer than Braid. He because he was saying in a speed run, like even he, the guy who made the game, who knows the game, it took him at least 6 hours to beat it. Speed run.
I don't have Persona 4 Gold. God.
So
Took him 38
that's also
minutes.
a hype. That's also a hype.
The
Cool.
Witness,
The
the Witness, yeah.
All right, my hype this week, believe it or not, it's also a sweat, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm officially hyped to play The Order, just because it's new, it's shiny, it looks good. I actually like that studio a lot, though they haven't really done any. This is their first major console release, but the game itself, the tone, everything's kind of up my alley, so I'm excited to at least try it.
Hey, quick aside, when is Final Fantasy Zero coming out?
I think March.
Yeah.
March
March
okay.
something.
Yeah.
My sweat is for Resident Evil Revelations 2. I want Resident Evil to be good, and I'm
That comes out
reading
this
about
month?
Yeah, it comes out this month.
The whole
Reading-
thing, or just
the first episode, or
is
maybe
it coming on a disc?
it is after all of them are released. In fact, my plan right now is to play the first episode, and if I like it, just wait until the disc release and buy that. But I don't know. I want Resident Evil to be good, and everything I read about Revelations kind of got me excited about it. But seeing some of the screenshots just kind of made it look like generic zombie horror. But I don't know. I'm hoping it's better than that. My fuck you for the week goes to I lose track of what all the zombies are called in Dying Light. The big scary ones that come out at night.
Nightmares.
Nightmares?
Nightmares.
You can call them nightmares.
Fuck nightmares.
Yeah.
They're a fear of mine is being chased. I don't like being chased, which is
Yeah.
amazing because I played all the way through Alien Isolation.
Even
In
like
complete-
I'm 30 hours into the game. If they start chasing, I still even get like a little.
But also, I've noticed when I try and jump in Dying Light, like I'm trying to make a jump and I don't know if I'm going to make it, which happens a lot.
yeah.
I find myself accidentally holding my breath,
Oh yeah.
and I leap, and then I realize that game has a really great sense of verticality and scale,
Oh, yeah.
and it's cool. But seriously, fuck those nightmares. And my thank you obviously goes to our patrons, our new patrons, of course, our subscribers as well. But it's been a great first week for our Patreon campaign. We had a lot of fun shooting that video, and we had a lot of fun thinking up all these milestones and stuff. So we appreciate everyone who has pledged so far, and we're looking forward to implementing a lot of these milestones. Since we hit a lot of them very quickly, we're obviously going to be spreading them out a little bit. And we do have a little bit of planning to do for some of them, including our camping trip. And and our couch upgrade and whatnot. So, but I would say keep an eye on 4playernetwork.com, on our Twitter pages, and if you're a patron, obviously keep an eye on the 4Player Patreon activity feed. We'll be posting exclusive content. We got a dinner time podcast up the other day for patrons. Also, this might not be super well known yet because we did just launch this website, but if you are a subscriber on Twitch, you can log into your 4Player account, and the support us link at the top of the page will change to, it'll say supporter content, and you can click that and you'll see links to all of our exclusive content for subscribers, which is dinner time podcasts, let's plays, top 5 videos, which now that we kind of got the website launched, and we're still squashing some bugs and whatnot, but now we have we're starting to plan and look into really diving back into getting into that exclusive video content.
Yeah.
So we're very excited. Like I said earlier this year, 2015 is going to be very exciting for us. So we are very thankful and very excited. And I think that's all we have this week. Anybody else want to say anything before I wrap it up?
Thanks to all our patrons.
Big thanks.
Again.
And of course, last reminder, if you haven't yet, please visit 4playernetwork.com, bookmark us, and create a new account in the forums. We really are trying to get those forums back up to where we want them to
prime.
be. They're back to their prime. It's going to take some work, but we're getting back up there, and we're really appreciating all of the participation and all the people who are signed up. So please do that. And I guess we're going to see you next week.
I have a final thought.
Okay, final thought. You never have those. Go ahead.
Finally finished The Witcher 2.
Oh yeah, you did that.
That series is okay.
All right.
You're going to hate The Witcher 3, I know it. It's going to come out and you're just going to hate it.
Why would you say that?
Because you're probably gonna hate it.
But why would you say that?
I don't know. You just seem to hate
Because-
things that you like.
Yeah, that's true.
What does that even mean?
All right, I'm closing it out. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll catch you next week.